Hey, before the episode starts, just thought I'd give just a little important update. First of all, the name of the podcast has changed to Marvel and DC Retrospective because I feel like that just fits better with what I'm doing. So just ignore, the name of the podcast in the episode because I obviously call it by the old name. It'll be different from now on. The other thing I wanted to add is that I forgot to credit Marv Wolfman and George Perez for this story. So Marv Wolfman is the writer of this story, George Perez is the artist, and together they crafted Crisis on Infinite Earths. They helped with the setup, and they spent years putting this event together, so it's to them that we even have this. I highly recommend checking out New Teen Titans and New Titans, written by Marv Wolfman and drawn by, art by George Perez. I also highly recommend checking out George Perez's Wonder Woman run, because it's really good. It's considered to be one of the best Wonder Woman runs. I would also recommend checking out Marv Wolfman's Green Lantern run. He did some writing for Green Lantern, and I found it very enjoyable. I found it pretty good, and it leads right into another run from another writer that's also really good. So I just check out Green Lantern in general, But yeah, just want to add this, and from now on, I'm just gonna remember to credit the writers and artists because I don't want to accidentally neglect them. They deserve a shout out. So yeah, that's all I wanted to add. Enjoy the episode. Alright, hello. Welcome back to the Comic Book Noob podcast. I am your host, Kay Chamberlain. And, after the last podcast, at the end of it, I said that we would be doing another episode, and this time we would be covering Crisis on Infinite Earths. So welcome to the first episode of what I'm going to be calling Midlife Crisis, which is like a special show where we deal with only events. So I'm going to explain events in detail, just go over them, and just kind of tell you about them, And this is me having read them for the first time as well, so these are my first thoughts off of my chest of, talking about this. So, some history on Crisis on Infinite Earths before we get started. Crisis on Infinite Earths was an initiative that DC had planned to reboot their universe because they found that the history of all of their characters was getting way too complicated for new readers, and they wanted to attract new readers, so they decided that they wanted to kind of start fresh with most characters.
but they didn't start fresh with every character. The ones that were popular, like Batman. Like Batman was one of those characters whose history remained pretty unchanged. Um, but yeah, like they used it as a reboot, and they'd been setting it up for a while in other titles. I talked about it a little bit in the last podcast, so you want to hear a bit about the setup that they did in other titles. You can listen to that in the Trial of the Flash, where I talk about it a little bit when it comes around. But yeah, today we're actually talking about Crisis on Infinite Earths. So, without further ado, let's get started. So our story starts in complete pitch blackness. And a voice is talking about how like it's cold and dark, and it's been like that for a long time. But there's like a burning light. And the light grows and it feels pain, like as much pain as it does relief. And then it explodes and the multiverse is born. Multiple Earths, all vibrating at the same frequency. Or like different frequencies depending on what Earth it is. But yeah, the multiverse is born. And yeah, there's many Earths. Infinite Earths, you could say. So we come across one Earth in particular. This Earth is Earth 3. And it is currently being hit by a wave of energy that is destroying everything. And everyone on this Earth is in peril. They're all running. They're all crying. And this mysterious person, has appeared on this Earth. He's got like a green cloak on. And he's basically like, oh my god. Like, he's like, this Earth is like doomed to be destroyed. Like, why is everyone like running when there's no hope? Like, they're all gonna die. Like, why are they even running? And then he kind of thinks to himself and he's like, I think they know. Like, they know they're in danger and they're running just out of like prayer. Like, they're praying. Like, because that's all they can really do. Like, they can't really pray. Like, they know that they're gonna die. And so he's just watching all of this destruction. He sees a little kid, and the kid gets like erased. He like tries to grab the kid, but he can't do anything. And he's like praying to let him die with them. Like, he wants to die with everyone, but he can't. And he like fades away from the Earth and like disappears. And he's like teleporting somewhere else. And he's like, no! Like, another Earth is being swallowed by the dark. And he gets taken away. And so Earth 3, which is currently being destroyed by this mysterious energy wave, is home to a group known as the Crime Syndicate. And they are essentially like a flip-flopped version of the Justice League. So they're all criminals. So it's like, Green Lantern, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the Flash, if they were villains. So instead they are Ultraman, Power Ring, Owlman, Johnny Quick, and Superwoman. And they're protecting their Earth. Normally they're villains, but because their Earth is being destroyed, they're doing everything that they can to stop it from being destroyed. And Owlman is just like it's over. Like, there's nothing we can do. Like, we're all gonna die. And Johnny Quick is like, I know what you mean, man. Like, it's over. And like, they can see like the energy coming towards them. And Green Power Ring and Ultraman are like trying to stop volcanoes that are like erupting from the Earth. Like, everything's burning, and whatever they're doing isn't like, they can't do anything. Like, it's not doing anything, and it's not helping. And Lex Luthor in this Earth is a hero. His name is Alex Luthor. and he's like scoping around the city, taking a look at the destruction, being like, "Oh my god, like this is horrible." Like, but even the crime syndicate is like helping us though, and he sees like Superwoman, who is like trying to help, and he sees the energy wave coming from behind her, and he's just like, "Superwoman, watch out!" And then like she gets like erased. Like the energy comes over her and she just gets completely erased from existence. So he's like, shit, I've got to go and like this is it. This Earth is done for. I can sense that. So I've got to go because I have something important to take care of. And so he leaves back to his home. And when he gets there, he finds his wife, who is the Lois Lane of this universe. And she has a child. And they decide that their child is the only one possible, like they could possibly survive. So they plan on sending their son away from their Earth in hopes that he can make it somewhere else and survive. And it's funny because it's kind of like the opposite of like the Superman story, where this time it's Lex Luthor like sending, like, because it's like the baby is like, they call him Alexander Luthor, so it's like this Earth's version of Lex Luthor, and Alex Luthor is actually his father, so it's like the opposite of Superman, where they're sending Lex Luthor out instead of Clark Kent. So yeah, they have like an emotional moment about like having to give up their son, and Owlman and Johnny Quick both get erased. Green Lantern is trying to protect citizens from the antimatter wave, and Alex Luthor and Lois Lane or Lois Luthor, I guess her name is probably, put their son in like a little pod while Pariah watches, and that's the name of this guy, this mysterious person that's watching this Earth get destroyed. His name is Pariah, and he's watching them, and he cries because he knows that they know that it's all over, and they're trying to save their son. And he goes and visits Ultraman and Power Ring, and he tells them that they think that he's the one responsible, and he's like, it's not me, it's somebody else responsible. He's slaying all these worlds, and I can't do anything but cry. I can't do anything except watch it happen. And then Ultraman's just like, screw this, I'm gonna do what I normally do. I'm gonna fight to the end. And he just flies straight into the antimatter wave and just gets completely erased. And then Power Ring gets erased as well. And Alex and Lois are watching as their child gets sent into a vortex. And they're crying and hugging, and they're like, he's going to survive. He's going to continue on our legacy. And so their child gets sent off in a laser beam that gets shot from the base. And Alex and Lois embrace in a kiss as they get erased, as the antimatter wave comes over them and erases them. And Pariah leaves Earth 3 as it becomes completely obliterated. And we see this child in the laser just careening through space and time, and it manages to escape from Earth 3, and it is sent to Earth 1, where we see it crash into the Justice League Watchtower. But the Watchtower is completely abandoned. There's no one there. And so this vessel has just landed inside the Watchtower by itself. And we find that there is another floating object, another type of Watchtower nearby that is golden. And from it, a mysterious being is watching as this universe ends. And he's saying, it's begun, Lila. The end of the universe has begun. We need to move our plan into motion. like he's just like, you know what to do, you know who you need to summon, and she's like, I understand, but like I still fail to understand. You know, why can't we pick both Supermans and Wonder Woman? So she's talking about like recruiting multiple Supermen and multiple Wonder Woman. And he's just like, this is exactly the reason why, is because I've planned specific people to help. So we need both heroes and villains for this. Like, it's part of their destiny. In order to do this, we can't just hire all the heroes. And so like he sends Lila away to go and like retrieve all these heroes and villains, while he says that he is going to go and retrieve the child that had come from Earth 3. And so Lila is told to go and like transform, like she's supposed to like become a different being in order to go and get these people, like go and get these heroes and villains. So she heads to like this room where there's like a beam of energy, and she goes inside it, and it like rips her body apart and like creates like a whole new body for her with the powers that she needs in order to go to these other Earths to recruit these heroes and villains. And so we go to Gorilla City, where if you don't know Gorilla City, it's a city of gorillas, mostly featured in The Flash, where all the gorillas are super smart. One of the gorillas is sentencing another gorilla to rehabilitation because they do things differently there. Like, he's a criminal, but they say, like, you're going to be rehabilitated as just a regular civilian, so you can go out and just do civilian stuff, help us. That is how you are going to, you know, reprimand for your sins. And so he goes to have, like, a drink. And then Lila shows up in, like, this new costume. And she comes in and she's like, we have need of you, Soliver. And he's like, a human here? But who besides the Flash knows we exist? And she's like, the Monitor knows all, Soliver. He has seen the birth of the city as well as others hidden from the eyes of man. Come with me, Soliver. A great adventure awaits. And he like tries to grab her, and like his hand goes right through her. Like, he can't touch her. And like he just she touches him, and then he just passes out. And the other gorillas come in, and they see what's happened, and they try to attack her, and they like shoot her, but she disappears with Soliver, and the other gorillas are just like, ah, shit, they're gone. And so we go to another area in the galaxy. It's where it's the far future, and we come to like the Legion, the headquarters of the Legion of Superheroes. Now, the Legion of Superheroes are a group of superheroes from the far future who were inspired by Superman, if I remember correctly, to be heroes, and they created this whole like legion of heroes, and they all have powers, and they usually have like names like Lightning Lad and like Cosmic Boy and Saturn Girl. And one member of the Legion, whose name is Dawnstar, arrives at the Legion headquarters because she's been called there, but it wasn't by Saturn Girl. She's like, it wasn't Saturn Girl's telepathic like powers that summoned me. So who did? And she gets called to Suicide Slum, which is a part of the city that's all like deranged and stuff. It's a place that she's never actually been to before. Dawnstar, like, I don't really know much about her, but she's got like wings, she can fly, and she's a member of the Legion. They've got a lot of members. I don't read Legion of Superheroes, but she goes to Suicide Slums, and you know, she's just like, man, I hope that like I've come here for a reason, because I have no time to play games. And she goes to open like a door that she's been called to, and then a hand pops out, and it's just like, come with me, and like grabs her and pulls her in to like a portal, and she disappears. So we go to Earth 2. Now, Earth 2 is what you would call like the Golden Age.
So the golden age of DC Comics back in the 40s became a separate Earth. And so Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman that exist on that Earth exist on this Earth too. Like on Earth 2 now. And their Earth 1 counterparts are like younger versions. So like Batman on Earth 2 got to like marry Catwoman and he had a daughter and that daughter became Huntress. And, the Superman of Earth 2 like got married to Lois and became like just got older, so it was just that kind of stuff. So they still live in that era. I think it's like World War II is happening forever. Like it's like World War II era forever, which sounds like a nightmare. But like we come across this character. Her name is what's her name again? I know her super name, Danette. Her name is Danette. Her superhero name is Firebrand. And like she's at this Bond rally. She's trying to help one of her friends cook, like with some cooking, and the Harbinger shows up, which is Lila's new name, like her like superhero name, I guess you could call it. She shows up and she tells Firebrand to come with her, and Firebrand is like, you know what? Yeah, like I like being like I'm a hero. You're asking me for help. I'll come with you, and so she goes. And then we go to another city where there is a hostage situation going on. And the hostages are just like, as soon as like the policemen are like, let go of that woman, like, and we'll give you whatever you want. Like, tell us what you want, let her go. And the criminals are like, oh, if we let her go, you're just gonna shoot us anyway. Just give us all your money and everything. Like, drop your guns, give us all your money. And then Blue Beetle shows up. The olden days Blue Beetle. Like this is before like Jaime Reyes existed. But Blue Beetle at this point existed on another Earth. And so that's the Earth that we're currently on. And he's kind of like Batman, but with a bit of a sense of humor. Like he's got gadgets and stuff, and like he fights crime like Batman does. So he's kind of like Batman, but more lighthearted. So he shows up and he beats the crap out of them, and one of the guys almost falls off the building, but he grabs his leg and stops him from falling. And the woman's just like, "Thank you for saving my life." And he's like, "That's what I do. I'm a hero." And then he hears a voice. It's just like, "Blue Beetle, come with me." He's like, "Who's that?" Like, he's like, "Who is that?" And he's still holding onto the criminal, and the criminal's just like, "Hey, don't drop me." And so, like, Blue Beetle's just like, "I'll come, but only if you say please." And Harbinger is just like, "I need you, Blue Beetle." And he's like, "Where did you come from?" And she's just like, "I'll answer your questions another time. Like, your questions will be answered eventually." And he's like, "I don't know who this lady is, but I feel like I can't say no. Like, she won't take no for an answer." And so he's just like, "And there was nothing on TV anyway, so I guess I'll go with you." And so we go 45,000 years into the past. Harbinger is like flying through like these snowy mountains to her next destination, and a shadowy figure is following her, and it collides with her and enters her body, and she has now become possessed by something. She's like, "Oh no, I sense like there's this evil. Oh no, what is that?" And it like collides with her and takes over her body. And so we go to Earth 2, to like a psychiatric ward. There's a man named Roger Hayden. He is secretly known as the Psycho Pirate. And the Psycho Pirate wears this mask called the Medusa Mask, and it allows him to control the emotions of other people. But it also like makes him like he's insane, or like he thinks he's insane. Like it's made him go crazy. And like he's just like, Harbinger comes to him and she's just like, "You gotta come with me, I need your help." And he's just like, "Leave me alone, like I just want to be left alone. I don't want, like, my life is awful, like I hate what has happened to me, like I control people's emotions and stuff, but nobody believes me." And like he's seen like what, like he kind of knows what's going on at the moment. Like he's had like visions of what's going on, and nobody believes him.
So he's just like a wreck, and she's just like, you're coming with me anyway, and like gives him his Medusa mask, like makes it appear, and it like attaches to his face, and she takes him away, and he kind of just gives in once the Medusa mask comes in. He's just like, you got my Medusa mask, and it like attaches to his face, and they go away. And so she goes back to like these. She goes to like these snowy mountains, and there's this magician, like this sorcerer named Arion. I don't know who he is, but this is my first time learning about him. And he's like a sorcerer and creates like an iced bridge that he's traveling across. And then Harbinger shows up and he's like, oh, you must be some sort of sorceress. And he like attacks her. And she breaks the ice bridge that he's on, and he starts falling into a cavern. And before he hits the ground, she like shoots a beam at him and like teleports him away because she's like, I need you, and like takes him away. And we go to Earth 1, where we head to a city, and that city is protected by Firestorm. Everyone knows Firestorm. He is a young man named Ronnie Raymond, who ended up in like an accident with his Professor Martin Stein, in like a nuclear explosion, like particle explosion, which like fused them together, and they became the superhero known as Firestorm, who has the ability to create, like, change matter and like do pretty much anything. And it's like both of their consciousnesses are like inside the one body, so they both control Firestorm's body. Like I think Ronnie controls the body while Martin kind of like controls part of his mind, and like they both have to work together in order to work properly. But he's going to like this ice palace to find a villain known as Killer Frost, who has like a deep relationship with Firestorm. She's trapped by some weird energy, and he uses his powers to get rid of the energy, and she's like, you fool, you made a mistake, Firestorm. She attacks him, and he just turns her icicles into flowers. And Firestorm like talks about like, he's just like, we're not getting anywhere. Harbinger, are you there, Harbinger? And then Harbinger shows up, so like he already knows her. And she's there with Psycho Pirate. She's like, we're both here. And Psycho Pirate is already like complaining about having the mask and being like, I told you how much this would hurt me using this. And he uses this mask to change Killer Frost's emotions to make her all like lovey-dovey. And she kisses Firestorm, which really disgusts him. He's just like, ugh, gross. I kissed one of my arch villains. And Firestorm is gonna go with Harbinger. And he says, like, are you going to come with me, Frosty? And she's like, nah. She says that she would, like, come with him, but, like, she doesn't end up actually... Oh, no, she does come with him. Okay, so I thought Killer Frost stayed behind, but she doesn't. She goes with him. So they both go together, and Harbinger takes them away. And we go back to the satellite that this being is in, the one like Lila's master, the Harbinger's master. And so he's observing like Lila, like his like what she's doing. And he talks about how like he found like how he came to find Lila. He like saved her life as an infant. She like washed up on a beach, and or she was like lost at sea, and he found her and brought her in, raised her. And he's talking about how like, and neither of us knew that one day you would be my killer. And he's like, I fear for you, Lila. My life may be forfeit, but you, my dear, you hold in your hands the fate of the cosmos itself. And so we go to this room on the satellite where all of the chosen heroes that Lila has chosen, and villains, are all gathered. We got like Blue Beetle, Dawnstar, Solivar, a villain named Simon, who was like a villain of the Teen Titans. We got Geoforce and Cyborg, who have both been members of
Teen Titans, and I think Geoforce has also been a member of the Doom Patrol at this point. We got Psycho Pirate. We got Superman from Earth 2, who's a little bit older and he's got like grey sideburns. And they actually note, like, Firebrand makes notice that like it's not the Superman that she's met. Another character called Obsidian, who is also from Earth 2, and I think he's a member of the Seven Soldiers of Victory, which is a superhero team. We've got John Stewart, Green Lantern. You know, he is currently Green Lantern of Earth. Hal Jordan has quit being Green Lantern at the moment. We've got Firestorm and Killer Frost. We got Arian. And we got Dr. Polaris, who is a magnetic... Like, he has magnetic powers like Magneto, and he is a villain of Green Lantern. So basically we got all these characters that like not very many people actually care about, all coming together, except for like Superman and Cyborg, maybe. And like, I guess people probably care about Blue Beetle, but he's pretty obscure at this point in time. Like, but yeah. They're all just talking to each other, kind of like arguing and stuff, being like, where are we? Like, what are we doing here? And like, Dr. Polaris is just like, I don't like to be kept waiting. I demand to see the monitor now. And like, he's just being a little prick. And Simon is just like, maybe we should like create a truce or something. And Cyborg and Geoforce are like, you're a villain. Like, we're not going to create a truce with you. Like, screw you. And Simon's just like, you fool, we're about to be attacked. And all these shadow things, these shadow beings show up and attack these our group of heroes, and so they all fight back. And they're all fighting these shadowy creatures together, and you know, there's just a lot of fighting. You know, Superman of Earth 2 and Obsidian fighting. Obsidian like turns into like his shadow form because that's his ability. He can turn into a shadow, and he's just like, they can't touch me in my shadow form, but I can touch them. And he's like punching them. Yeah, so lots of fighting. They're all fighting the shadow things, and then all of a sudden, like, this blinding light comes, and like all of the shadow beings run away from this blinding light. And the Monitor shows up, and he was like, the attack was not planned. Like, I did not plan this. I am sorry. Like, but you're all safe now. And because they were all blaming like the Harbinger. And, because they think, like, oh, it was a trap. And he's like, it wasn't a trap. Like, this wasn't planned, so do not blame her. Blame something else. And then he's just like, let me properly introduce myself. I am the Monitor, and I have summoned you here because your universes are about to die. And so we cut to the dawn of man. There's a caveman. His name is Anthro, and he like jumps onto a mammoth. He's like fighting the mammoth in order to like. There's like a mammoth stampede, and so he's like on top of one of the mammoths fighting it to save his tribe. They're all cheering him on and stuff. He's like, "Yeah, I'm a hero." And he gets knocked out by a tree while he's too busy like celebrating how great he is. And when he wakes up, he sees, like, a futuristic city in the distance. And they're all like, what is this weird place? Hurry, like, get farther. Like, look over there. Like, there's this weird city, like, over there. Like, what is that? Because they've never seen it before, because they're all, like, cavemen and women. And the city is the city that the Legion of Superheroes live in. So, like, these two different time periods have, like, been formed together. And so the Legion of Superheroes are dealing with these mammoths because the mammoth stampede has led into the futuristic city. So they're all fighting these mammoths. And like these security guards show up with guns and are all attacking, and like the Legion of Superheroes are like trying to fend the city. You know, there's like a member called like Colossal Boy, and he can grow really big. And this other character called Wildfire, who can shoot like beams. Then we got Brainiac 5, who is a member of the Legion of Superheroes, who is like a future version of Brainiac, who is a good guy. and he's kind of like their communications person. So he's telling them all what to do. So they're fighting these mammoths, and then the mammoths just disappear. And they're like, what the heck? Where did they go? That was weird. And then Brainiac 5 says that he's like, he can send, he's found like this energy signature through his computer system, and it's enough, it's like coming towards them, and it's enough energy to destroy not only them, but the entire universe. And so we go from the future to the present, July 1985, to the mansion of Mr. Standish, or at least his heirs, where the heir of Mr. Standish has, Harold J. Standish III has been murdered by the Joker. The Joker has, like, his gun with the bang on it. He's just like, 'twas a shame, Harold, old bean. You didn't have to die. Oh, I appreciate it that you did, but it wasn't mandatory. All I wanted was the ownership to all your copyrights. So he basically just wants to, like, get the mansion. Like, he's just being, like, he's being the Joker. And Batman crashes through, like, the nearby window. He's like, only movie you'll ever make, Joker, is the sequel to The Prisoner. And I don't mean the one in that village. The Batman, you actually deciphered my clue? Amazing. Even I was stumped, and I wrote it. Because Joker's, like, talking about how, like, he's gonna make a, like, they could make a movie about what it, like, out of what he's doing. You know, because he's just crazy. And Batman's just like, it wasn't difficult, and, like, punches him in the face. And then the Joker, like, shoots this glue at Batman that gets him all stuck. And while he's stuck, the Flash appears. But the Flash is, like, he's all disheveled. His, like, body is, like, looks like it's falling apart. And he's like, help! Somebody help me! And Batman's just like, the Flash? But he disappeared. Like, that's impossible. And the Joker is, like, terrified. He's like, Flash, you're not supposed to be here. Like, Gotham City isn't your place. Like, why are you here? He's, like, got his gun at him. He, like, tries to shoot the Flash. But, like, Batman throws a batarang at him and hits him in the head. And Batman's just like, you're going back to Arkham where you belong. And Flash is just like... And then Batman's just like, there's no way that this is, like, a trick. Like, one of Joker's tricks. When he sees, like, the Flash that's standing in front of him. And the Flash is just like, please, can't you see the world? It's dying all around me. And while Batman's preoccupied with the Flash, the Joker gets away. He runs away. Batman's like, where are you, Flash? I can help rescue you. And Flash is like, dying. The world is dying. Iris dying. May already be dead. Save us. Save us. Save us. And he, like, falls apart and just, like, disintegrates. And Batman is just like, the Flash, disintegrating before my eyes. Dear God, what is happening? And so, from there, we move back to the Monitor satellite, where all of the heroes have been brought together, and the villains. We see them all together. And the Monitor is basically explaining to them exactly what's happening. There's this wave of energy that he calls the antimatter wave coming, and it is destroying Earths. It started with Earth 3, and eventually it's going to come to their Earth and destroy it. You know, there's going to be, like, earthquakes, flash floods, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, they're also talking about how, like, the Monitor had been, like, supplying weapons to villains and stuff over the last year. So they're kind of just like, you've been, like, doing this for an entire year and you never thought to, like, come and warn us right now? Like, why did you hide this from us? And the Monitor is just like, I was doing what I had to do. I was setting up the events. You know, I work in mysterious ways. And everyone's, like, a bunch of them are saying, like, oh, he's obviously lying. And the Superman of Earth 2 is like, you know, I've heard of this Monitor too. Though even my telescopic vision never detected his satellite. I suggest, however, we hear him out. Because he's Superman, he's just like, I believe he could be telling the truth. Like, if he's lying, no power exists that can defeat us all. You know? And he's like, if he's telling the truth, we'll save our worlds. And So Monitor says, like, basically, if you fail this, like, I can't prevent my foe from destroying everything that exists. And he explains to them that, like, there are 5 different areas that they have to go to protect, and they'll find, like, these machines there that they need to turn on, and if they turn them all on, they'll save the entire universe. So he tells Harbinger to send them all to these different universes. And so they all get, like, sent throughout the cosmos. And when she sends them all away, like, when she teleports them all away to these different eras that he was referring to, the Monitor is, like, weak, and he's, like, passing out. And that's when Harbinger is like, you know, she's, like, talking to herself, and she's like, I can't resist his power. She's, like, talking about something. She's like, I'm forced to obey his commands. Forgive me, though. You have been my father and more. I now betray you. And she's, like, crying. She's got, like, tears. And so we cut to Oa, which is the home of the Guardians. And the Guardians are talking about what's happening right now. They're like, you know, we sent, like, this crisis is happening. Like, this antimatter wave is coming and it's going to destroy everything. And then this mysterious voice is like, no, Guardian. Like, they're like, we have to do something about this. And this mysterious voice starts talking to them, and it's like, no, it's too late. Like, you won't be able to stop what happens. Everything ends now. And he's like, what began with you so many centuries ago ends with you now. And, like, the energy from the power battery, like the Green Lantern battery, shoots out and, like, knocks all the Guardians out. Possibly kills them. I don't know. It just looks like they've been knocked out. That's what I'm going to assume. But it might have killed them. That doesn't matter for now. All we know is that the Guardians are out of commission. And they've been destroyed by this mysterious force. So we go to Earth 1. Superman's flying through Metropolis. He's been called by Batman, and so he goes to see him because whatever Batman said is he feels is quite urgent. And so, like, he explains to Superman about, like, the vision of Flash that he saw. And Batman's just like, I fear that, like, it's the worst. Like, I fear the worst right now. And Pariah shows up, and he's, like, praying to Batman and Superman to help them, because he sees them as, like, the 2 greatest defenders of Earth, and that, like, they are one of the few chances of actually saving the world. So he's, like, begging for their help, and then he starts disappearing, and he's like, wait, no, and, like, disappears from Earth, and the Batman and Superman are just like, he's gone, just like that. And Batman's like, he said Earth was dying, like, that's what the Flash said too. Like, what's going on here? And so we head to a place called The Great Disaster, which is like an apocalyptic world. It's like an Earth that has like an apocalypse, like that's just apocalyptic. And there we find a young man named Kamandi. And Kamandi is known as the last boy on Earth. He was created by Jack Kirby. And yeah, he's just a regular boy who lives in this apocalyptic world. And he finds this giant machine, which is the machine that the Monitor was talking about. And so he's climbing up the machine because he doesn't know what it is. And one of the shadowy beings from earlier shows up to attack him. And he's, like, freaked out. He's like, what the heck is that? Like, I have never seen something like that before. It's coming at me. And he lets go and, like, almost falls to his death. But a hand comes and grabs him, and it's Earth 2 Superman. And so Earth 2 Superman, Solivar, and Dawnstar have all shown up to help Kamandi. And they kind of explain to him, like, what's going on. They're like, you know, I'm not even from your time period. Like, we've come to save this Earth. And so all these shadowy beings show up, and they all fight them together. And one of them touches Kamandi, and it, like, burns him. He's like, it's burning me. And so they kind of figure out that, like, they can't be touched by these things because, you know, they'll die. But Solivar saves him, and then the shadows, like, run away. Like, they fly away. And Harbinger is like watching from a distance and is like chuckling. And she's just like, let those fools protect that machine. It will serve them no good. Their efforts will be rewarded with death. And she's called back to, like, she manages to, like, get control of her body again. She gets called back to the Monitor's satellite, where the Monitor has Alex Luthor's son in, like, an incubation tank. And he's, like, a young boy now. And he says that, like, this kid is the key to everything. And she's like gone to like grab the baby for him, like grab the kid, and she like pauses, and Monitor is like, what's wrong? Like, can't you bring the baby to me? And like she doesn't really have an answer for him. And like what Monitor doesn't know is that the baby is now a young boy. And so she just doesn't understand how, like, he's grown so big already. So this baby that was sent from Earth 3 is growing at a rapid rate. And so we cut to Atlantis, which is another Earth. Not Aquaman's Atlantis, a different Atlantis, where, like, sorcerers and stuff live. And there's one of the machines is there, and so Arian and Obsidian and Psycho Pirate are all there. And Arian tells Psycho Pirate, like, if you use your powers here, like, I'll kill you. So don't. And Psycho Pirate is like, okay. Like, I'll listen. And then in his head, he's just like, screw you, Arian. Like, you can't tell me what to do. Like, I'll do whatever I want. And so, like, Psycho Pirate is just like, they won't let me feed on emotions. And, like he can no longer, like, he has this need. Like, that's the thing, is that he has this need to, like, feed on emotions. Like, it's not enough for him to change emotions anymore. The mask makes him have this need to feed on them. And so Pariah shows up while, like, Psycho Pirate is sitting on a rock. Because they're like, stay here while we go into the city, because I don't want you changing my people's emotions. That's what Arian says. So Psycho Pirate is waiting outside, and Pariah shows up, and Psycho Pirate takes, like, his mask off. Like, his Medusa mask, and by looking at Psycho Pirate's face, it causes Pariah to start laughing uncontrollably. He's like, no, stop, stop, like, you fool, like, no, you don't know what you're doing. And then Psycho Pirate just gets blasted, and, like, Arian's just like, demented fool, that is enough, and, like, blast the crap out of him. And Psycho Pirate's like, oh, it's you've made a mistake. And Psycho Pirate is like, because absorbing his emotions have increased my strength. And he's like, what you fools need is a healthy dose of terror. Fight me if you can, but you may as well resist the terror of your own emotions. And so Arian and Psycho Pirate fight each other, and Psycho Pirate's powers cause Arian's mind to be flooded with fear. And a shadowy figure, like, appears behind Arian and, like, envelops him, and it's Obsidian. And he's like, Psycho Pirate's powers are, like, affecting your mind, but my shadowy form can protect you. And so he, like, envelops Arian in his shadowy form to protect him. And Psycho Pirate is getting ready to, like, absorb all the emotions of, like, Arian's people, but then this giant beam hits him and he disappears, and they're like, what the heck? He disappeared. I was just about to kick his ass. And so Psycho Pirate is in, like, this dark realm. And he can hear a voice. It's like, Psycho Pirate, I need you. And Psycho Pirate is like, your voice is like ice. He's like, but I don't need you. I don't even want you. Show me your face and I'll teach you the meaning of terror. And he's like, fool, you would want a face without one of your own. You want to scream, don't you? Well, fool, you cannot. Not without a mouth. And this voice, like, erases Psycho Pirate's face. And Psycho Pirate is, like, touching his face, but he's got no face. So he's just like, ah. He's like, and you will die without an outlet for your emotions. If you wish to live, let me know. But to live, you must serve me as I demand. Your answer, now! And he gets his face back, and he's like, okay, I'll help you, but just don't do that again. Like, don't take my face away. I'll do as you demand. And the Monitor is seeing this. And, Harbinger is just like, surely his powers weren't that crucial. And he's like, my dear Lila, I need him more than either Obsidian or like, he's upset that they've lost Psycho Pirate, because, like, he really needed him. And he's like, I needed them more than everyone else. Like, I needed him more than Obsidian or Orion. Like, the menace we deal with is one of emotion. So, like, we needed a guy that was able to control emotion. And she's like, then what of the empath called Raven? And Monitor's just like, no.
We're not going to pick Raven. We're not going to pick Raven. Like, screw Raven. She's not good enough. And that's not my opinion. That's the Monitor.
And he's like, get me the file on the new Dr. Light. It is time for me to create her. So he plans on creating a new Dr. Light. And if you don't know who Dr. Light is, he is a villain of the Teen Titans, Arthur Light. Apparently, Monitor is going to be creating a new one. And so Ari and Obsidian are talking about how, like, Psycho Pirate has been, like, has disappeared. And Pariah is there, and he says, like, I haven't come from this Earth, I've come from another Earth. The first Earth that fell from this. So we learn that Pariah, like, was born on Earth 3, and that it was the first Earth that he watched get destroyed, and that it's going to happen to this Earth too. And, like, they look up in the sky, and they see the antimatter wave coming towards Atlantis, and it's going to destroy it. And Pariah's just like, a matter of hours from now, your Earth will die. And then, like, Obsidian is like, the Monitor lied to us! Ah! And so we head back to the Monitor satellite. And Harbinger is talking about how, like, the antimatter wave is, like, made it to that universe too. And they haven't completed arrangements for the new Dr. Light. And Monitor is just like, my foe is moving faster than I anticipated. And, like, he's getting weaker. Like, he can feel himself getting weaker. And he's like, it's not going to be long before, like, I will die or be killed. Unless... And then Harbinger is shown to have been, like, enveloped in the same darkness as Psycho Pirate. She's talking to the same voice. This shadowy figure appears before her. And she's like, the Monitor has implemented his plans. Although not all of his warriors are in place, most stand ready. And this being is like, the Monitor will fail, as he has always failed to stop me. And Harbinger is like, and the mysterious voice is like, I steal his strength and mine grows stronger. His champions are doomed as I pit one against the other. Now go, there is work to be done. As always, he proves the incompetent fool for not accepting the inevitable. When I am done, all his universes shall be destroyed, while mine shall rule supreme. And he teleports Harbinger away. And we see, like, a splash page of, like, Harbinger. Her face is, like, in the universe. And a voice is talking to her about how, like, universe after universe has fallen. There's two voices that are talking to her. We got the voice of the being that's trying to control her, saying, like, universe after universe has fallen to my power. And this other voice saying, it's the Monitor saying, Lila, I raised you as my child. Like, you are the hope of this universe. Like, it is up to you, that it all lies within the child from Earth 3 and the man who calls himself Pariah. Like, the three of you are the key to this universe's survival. So we end up in the Monitor's satellite, and the Monitor is talking to Alexander Luthor from Earth 3, and he says, like, you are remarkable for reasons that I don't understand. Like, and it's far beyond just your rapid aging. And Alexander is just like, why do you keep testing me? He's like, look at you, child. You're an anomaly. Positive and negative matter existing within one form. An impossibility. And he's like, what changed you when your father sent you hurtling through the vibrational gap which separates the multiverse? As yet I have no answers, but I feel you are the key to the terror at hand. For you somehow bridge this universe and the universe which threatens to swallow us all. My heart cries for you, child, for an innocent must be corrupted, that a universe may live. And then Alexander Luthor is just like, but what if I can't do anything? What then, Monitor? Like, what happens? And Monitor has no answer. He can't answer him. Doesn't have an answer. And Harbinger is like, Monitor, do you need me? And the Monitor's just ignoring her, and she's thinking to herself, does he know? Does he know that I'm going to betray him? And so she goes away because she has to now do her master's bidding. And so she goes to visit her new master to tell them that she has news for the Monitor, of the Monitor. And Psycho Pirate is like messing with her, saying shit, and like this his master is like telling him off, being like, hey, shut up or I'm gonna like replace you. And Harbinger gets ordered to destroy Alexander Luthor, and so she leaves and to do that. And Psycho Pirate offers to use his emotions to change her, because like he says that her mind is unstable and that he can use her emotions so that she goes, like, he can use his emotion powers so that she's under the master's full control again. And the master is just like, no, we don't have use for your emotion power. Like, I don't want you doing that. She's supposed to be like this. Like, it's part of my plan. Like, her killing the Monitor, because Psycho Pirate is like, she's gonna kill the Monitor. Like, isn't that a problem? And the master is like, that's part of my plan. So yeah, leave it alone, or I'll kill you. So we go to Earth 1 in the far future. Barry Allen, the Flash, is living in the future, and he's seeing the world's destruction in the future. Because as we know, if you watched the last episode, like listen to the last episode, Barry Allen is living in the future now after the trial, because like with Iris, like it was revealed that Iris was alive the whole time. Like, if you want to hear all that, go listen to the trial of the Flash. It's a lot to explain. But yeah, he's on Earth 1 and in the future, and he's seeing like everything get destroyed. There's like massive storms and tidals and stuff, and so he's like, I've got to like there's like this energy wave in the distance, and he's like, it's coming right at me. And so he's like, I gotta do something, and he vibrates and disappears. And so we go into the present, and the Teen Titans and the Outsiders. The Outsiders are another group of heroes that consist of Katana and Black Lightning and Halo, and Metamorpho. And then you got the Teen Titans, which is like Nightwing, Starfire, a character called what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. I know his name. It'll say it a bit later. I don't know why it's Jericho. That's his name. I was blanking on it a bit. His name's Jericho. And so like they're saving people because like stuff's going haywire. Like they can see the antimatter wave coming at them. It's like destroying birds and shit. And so they're trying to save people throughout the city. That's what they're doing. Halo, like Wonder Girl's there as well. She's saving people. She's like the protege of Wonder Woman. Donna Troy is her name. And so Halo enters a building and finds a little girl, and she's like, the little girl's like, "Mommy told me to wait for her," and Halo's like, "It's all right. I'll bring you to her. Take my hand, and we'll have fun." You ever fly before? which is cute. Donna almost gets crushed by a crumbling wall. Nightwing's just like, "Donna!" He's like, "It's too late." And then Superman zooms in and saves her. Like, the rubble lands on him, and he, like, covers her and saves her. And then, so Katana's like, "Oh, then that means all is well, right?" And then Batman shows up, and he's like, "No, it's not Katana. Something's out there, and we don't know how much time we have." So they all join together, and Starfire is like, "I've got to do something. I've got to save this planet." And she's just, like, shooting the antimatter wave, because she's like, what, like, has my planet been destroyed, like, by this wave? Like, I can't let it happen to this planet. And she's, like, crying, and Superman, like, hugs her, and he's like, "I understand you, I relate, like, I'm from, like, my planet was destroyed too. Like, it's okay." And then the Flash appears before them because he's like vibrated from the future to appear in the past, and he tells him how, like, the future is he's from the future, and the future is just falling apart, and everything is, like, being destroyed. And he's like, "What's happening to me? Like, ah!" And Batman's just like, "Flash, calm down. I have to speak to you." And he's like, "That glow. If I can pull him free, I gotta stop him before that image I saw comes true." And Jericho knows that something bad is gonna happen if Batman touches the Flash. So he, like, screams, and Jericho is completely, like, he has no voice. Like, he can't speak. So he, like, screams in silence and, like, jumps at Batman and knocks him over to stop him from touching the Flash. And the Flash disappears again. He's like, "Oh my god, I tried warning you, help me!" And he just, like, disappears, and everyone's, like, watching in shock. And so we go to space, and Brainiac is in space. Now, Brainiac is a supercomputer. Sometimes he's an alien, sometimes he's a supercomputer. Right now he's a computer. He sees the antimatter wave, and he's like, "I've got to go, like, I gotta do something about this. I need help." So he plans on going to Earth to find Lex Luthor, because he thinks Lex Luthor is the only person that can help him. And for the first time in his life, Brainiac feels fear. Because he's a robot, so, like, he doesn't normally feel fear, but this has actually instilled fear in him. So we head to, it's spring 1944. World War II is going on. The setting is Markovia, which is, like, a fictional state, I think. It's being attacked by the Third Reich, which is DC's version of the Nazis. And there's this, like, this army squadron led by a man named Sergeant Rock. And these are, like, these classic DC characters. They show up, and they're fighting the Third Reich. They see the giant machine, and they're like, "What the heck is that thing? Like, is that some sort of, like, alien thing? Like, is that what's gonna, like, is some sort of weapon by, like, that the Third Reich have, like, built or something?" And they also see Blue Beetle's giant beetle ship in the sky, and they're like, "What the heck is that? Like, shoot it down." And Geoforce and Dr. Polaris show up. And Geoforce is from Markovia, so he wants to save his people. He wants to, like, kill the Third Reich members, or he wants to, like, fight them. And Dr. Polaris is just like, "We're on the same wavelength." And so they start, like, beating up all the Third Reich. And Blue Beetle's, like, at the tower, and he's just like, "We didn't come to, like, I regret this, but, like, we didn't come to fight the Nazis." So, like, instead of helping save people, he's come to go straight to the tower, and he feels bad about it, but he's like, "This is what we're here to do. Like, we're not here to save people. We're here to find this tower. They'll be fine on their own." And so, like, one of the Third Reich guys tries to shoot Dr. Polaris, but it doesn't do anything because Dr. Polaris has magnetism powers. And so the Third Reich guy gets, like, knocked over the head by one of Sergeant Rock's men. Geoforce is, like, talking to his people, and they're all like, he can speak our language. Geoforce is just like, how many more people are going to die? Like, he's just like messed up over like what's going on. And the Third Reich find the tower, and they think it's some kind of weapon that they could use to their advantage. And Sergeant Rock like throws a grenade at them and blows a bunch of them up. And they all go in hard, like they're like, let's hit him hard! And they like run in to like kill all of the Third Reich members. And one of them is like, like one of the guys goes up to the machine, and he's just like, I got a wooden leg. And like he's there with like his friend, and his friend is like, I got good aim, Storm. Like this guy's called Storm. And Storm's just like, and I got a wooden leg. And he's like, but neither of those will help me figure out what the heck this machine is. And he's like, I've never seen anything like this. Like, God. And then something comes out of it and like grabs him. It's like this shadowy creature. And like they hear him scream, and they're like, that did not sound human. And so they go to check it out, and they see these guys being completely erased by the shadow beings that we've been seeing over the course of this. And they all get erased one by one. Sergeant Rock and his crew are like, move out! And like, are shooting like all these shadow beings. But they get like erased one by one. And Geoforce and Dr. Polaris figure out that their powers combined can destroy the shadow beings. And so Blue Beetle jumps onto the tower, and then he gets touched by one of the shadow guys, and it like really like it like burns his shoulder. But then the shadow being gets destroyed after touching him, and Blue Beetle says that like it must be the Scarab technology that like he uses to power his suit, because the Scarab is essentially like this alien technology that was found by a man named Dan Garrett, who used it to become the first Blue Beetle. And then the technology was passed on to Ted Cord, who is the current Blue Beetle, and Ted Cord used the technology to create his suit. He never actually used the Scarab itself, but he created his suit out of the Scarab, and so it like powers it. And so like apparently the Scarab in his power in his suit harms the shadows and can destroy them. And so Blue Beetle is getting attacked by the shadows, and he's like dodging them, but he runs out of room and he falls off the tower. And the Monitor is just like, oh yeah, and earlier on Blue Beetle was saying like, why did they bring me here? Like, what am I going to do? I don't have any powers. And he's like, they must have brought me here for my technical expertise. But then he like looks at the tower and he's like, but I've never seen this thing before. Like, I'm completely useless. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to do anything. And so when he falls off the tower, the Monitor is like, man, like I was really counting on Blue Beetle, and I guess I just picked the wrong person. Like, he's not going to be able to do anything else for me. And so he decides to send Blue Beetle back to Earth 1 to await its destruction. Or like his Earth, not Earth 1. He's not on Earth 1. He sends Blue Beetle back to his home, and just to await for the planet to be destroyed. And so we go back to the Great Disaster, which is the apocalyptic Earth that we were on with Commandy and Solivar and Earth 2 Superman. And they're just talking about how, like, it seems hopeless. You know, like, the Earth is going to be destroyed and there's nothing they can do. And Solivar, like, dies because he's been wounded in the previous battle. And Commandy is like, no, don't leave me, Solivar. And Solivar, like, gets sent back to... It's assumed he gets sent back to Gorilla City by the Monitor, because he disappears just like Blue Beetle did before. And Commandy is like, no! And he's like, my parents abandoned me in that command keep. My friends either died or left. And he's like, Solivar, you're all I had left. Like, don't leave me. And Superman from Earth 2 is like, we must stay together or we'll all perish alone. Like, everything is changing. Like, our lives are all being affected by this. We have to stick together. And so we go to Texas in the year 1879. A guy named Lash he's like a cowboy. He gets like thrown out of a bar, or he gets thrown out of a hotel by a woman, and he's just like, it's always the same. I come to a town to get information, and the ladies always end up throwing me out. And he's gotten like a telegram from from someone named Kiwa No to come to like, and the telegram told him that there's like this weird machine that they've all come to look at. So he goes to the machine. It's one of the monitors machines. And when he gets there, he finds that he's accompanied by, like, he finds Jonah Hex, who is another cowboy. Like, these are all, like, cowboy characters in DC. So you got Jonah Hex, we got Nighthawk, and we got Johnny Thunder. And so they're all there. And Kiwanote is there as well. And so they're talking about, like, we have no idea what this is. We haven't even figured it out. But we reckon it's some kind of, like, machine or something. And Jonah Hex is like, why didn't you call in the army? And he was like, because, like, this isn't really something that the army can deal with. And they're about to, like, attack the machine or, like, see what it does. And then Simon, Cyborg, Green Lantern, and Firebrand all show up to stop them. And the cowboy characters, like, all shoot them. And they're like, no, we won't hurt you. Like, we're here to help you. My name's Firebrand. And Jonah Hex is like, stop shooting, boys. Like, don't you remember the green... Like, that green-suited guy is familiar. Remember there was, like, another Green Lantern? Like, there was another green-suited guy that came at one point, called himself Green Lantern or something? He's like, except he wasn't that guy. John Stewart's like, I've replaced it with a Green Lantern. And, so, Johnny Thunder is like, if you're not spirits, then who are you? And, because they think it's some kind of, like, Indian burial ground or something. Like, I think it's in an Indian burial ground, so they think that they're spirits at first. And they're like, we're from another time, and we're here to save your world. And then a bunch of those shadow beings show up. And so they fight them together, the cowboys and the superheroes. And John tries to, like, John is, like, using his lantern ring. And then he realizes that his lantern ring is still at half power. Like, half a day's charge. Like, he hasn't been able to charge it. And it's because, as we know earlier, the Guardians have all been destroyed. Or been defeated. So John almost gets attacked by a shadow creature, but he gets saved by Jonah Hex. And then the whole mine starts caving in. And Nighthawk manages to get out while everyone else gets caved in on. And he goes back to the town where he sees that the antimatter wave is destroying everything. And he gets erased by it. And so we go to Metropolis. We're going to be jumping around a lot. We go to Metropolis in the 30th century, which is where the Legion of Superheroes live. The antimatter wave is coming in, destroying the city. They're trying their best to, like, keep it away. You know, Brainiac 5 is like, I don't like this Dream Girl, it's useless. And Dream Girl, who has the ability to, like, use dreams, she has, like, dream powers. She's like, I can't believe, how did I not see this in one of my dreams? And so they tried calling a character called Kid Psycho to see, like, what's going on with him. And Kid Psycho lives in England. And he, like, has, like, he's, like, a Legionnaire that lives in England. And so we cut to England, and it's being destroyed by the antimatter wave. And Element Lad is trying to talk to Kid Psycho, and Kid Psycho isn't responding. And it's because Kid Psycho has been hit by rubble, and he's being erased. And they're like, Kid Psycho, are you there? But Kid Psycho has been erased. And so, like, you know, Atlantis, Old West, like, everything is being destroyed by the antimatter wave, and the heroes can't help but look. Like, they have no choice but to watch. And so the antimatter is like, instead of days, only hours remain. The Earths are doomed. And he's like, still, my machines are in place, so there's still hope. And then Harbinger is like, wrong, old fool. It is time for you to die. And so, Supergirl is, like, flying through Gotham City. And obviously she knows that what's going on because the animated wave, she can see it. It's destroying Gotham City. She's gone to visit Batgirl, and Batgirl is just like, man, like, I don't have powers like you. I can't do anything. I suck. like, I wish I could be as helpful as you are. And Supergirl is like, you are one of the bravest heroes I know. You know, like, you shouldn't be so down on yourself. And Barbara's just like, I just can't help it. You know, I wish I could do more. And Supergirl sees that a plane is, like, flying towards the antimatter wave and is being destroyed. And so she goes and saves the people in the plane. Barbara is watching her, and it just makes her feel even shittier because she's like, man, right now I'm watching Supergirl be a hero while I'm just sitting here and I can't even do anything. And so we head to the estate of Steve Dayton. He's the world's 5th richest man, and he's talking to John Constantine. You know who John Constantine is. He's the sorcerer. And they're just talking about how, like, the world's ending. And so, like, John Constantine is just like, I can sense what's happening. And I can sense what's happening here to everything. And he also mentions that he can sense what's happening to the Swamp Thing as well. So we get a little bit of a mention of the Swamp Thing. So maybe that'll come into play later. And Pariah is just freaking out because he's like, it's happening again. Like, because he has to watch. He's watching Earth get destroyed. Like, Earth 1. He's like, why must I witness such a horror? Why? So he's on this other Earth that is, like... He's shocked because this Earth isn't a duplicate. Because normally most Earths, like, all the Earths were created at the same time. So they usually have, like, duplicates of heroes and stuff. Like, there's usually, like, a Superman and a Wonder Woman and stuff. But this Earth doesn't have any duplicates, which is weird to him. But they do have their own superheroes. One of them is named Lord Volt. So he comes along and he thinks that Pariah is responsible. And he tries to kill Pariah because he's like, it's your fault this is happening. And he attacks Pariah. And Pariah is like, no, don't touch me. And then, like, King Volt just gets sent flying backwards from, like, this energy surge from touching Pariah. And then King Volt's wife shows up, Lady Quark, and she's like, you attacked my husband. Like, and she, like, blasts Pariah with a bunch of energy, but then they see that Pariah has survived the blast, and Pariah is just like, I can't die. Like, you can't kill me. And I'm not your enemy. And then their daughter shows up, and she's like, liar! You hurt my parents! And she has the ability to control nature, so she starts creating all these plants. But the plants are, like, being burnt by the antimatter wave. And she gets caught in it, and she gets erased, and her parents are like, no, Liana! And then King Volt, like, and then Lord Volt tries to, like, combat the antimatter wave, and he gets erased. And then, his wife is like, Lord Carrack! And Pariah is like, Lady Quark. And he, like, grabs her and he teleports her away. But she's like, no, let me die with my family. And he's like, I'm sorry, but if I can save one person, I will. And so he teleports her away. He's like, I won't let you die. And the whole of that Earth gets destroyed. And Monitor is in his watchtower and he's like, my enemy draws closer. And as he draws closer... as he gains power, like, I become closer to death. But there is still one chance, and he's finally ready to initiate the Dr. Light protocol that he's been planning. So he's like, I'm gonna create my new warrior, and he shoots his, like, this beam out at the Vegan star system, and he shoots the beam at the star. And so we end up in Japan, where a bunch of doctors are, like, seeing the antimatter wave, and they're all really scared. And a doctor named Kamiyo Hoshi shows up, and she's, like, ridiculing her father, because she's like, you're a wuss, and everyone here is a wuss, you all suck. Obviously, they're all talking in Japanese. And, like, you're all cowards. I'll do this myself. Like I'll be the one that actually does something. And so she like looks through the telescope to see what's going on, and she sees the Vega star system being hit by a beam. And the beam goes right through the Vega star system, and it hits. It's coming right at her, and it crashes right through the room. And there's a massive explosion, and they're like, "Camille!" And she's gone. She's disappeared. And they think that she's like, some of them are like, is she dead? And her dad is like, I have a feeling she's not dead. She's like, wherever you are, I still love you, Camille. And Monitor is like, what your daughter has become will amaze you, Doctor, because she's going to save the world. And Harbinger is like watching him from like a computer screen, and she's like, the master is controlling me, filling me with hate for you. I must destroy you, Monitor. And Alexander Luthor is watching, and from Earth 3 he's watching, and he's like, Harbinger's going to kill him. And he was like, the Monitor told me what was going to happen, and like, she needs to do this in order, like, this is part of the Monitor's plan, and she doesn't even know that, like, by killing him, she's doing what the Monitor wants. And so Alexander Luthor is, like, just gonna let her do it, you know, because it's part of her the destiny that they must fulfill. And so Harbinger's new master is, like, watching Red Tornado with Psycho Pirate, and they plan to use Red Tornado because they say that he's like one of the strongest beings on the planet. So they teleport Red Tornado to their little room, and Psycho Pirate plans on like changing Red Tornado's emotions so they can control him. And he's being annoying. Like, Psycho Pirate is like annoying the Monitor, and he's like, shut up or I'll replace you with somebody else, like Phobia, because she can do the same thing that you can do. And so he's just like, the Red Tornado is like, you're gonna destroy my Earth, aren't you? And the Master is like, not just your Earth, the entire universe. Now let's go. We got a job to do. So we go to Earth 2. During the time of King Arthur, so Firestorm and Killer Frost are in medieval times. They've gone there because another one of Monitor's machines is there. And Vandal Savage is there, and he's watching them, and he's like, what is going on? Like, this is curious. I want to take over this time period, so maybe that machine has something to do with that, and I can gain control of it and take over. And if you don't know who Vandal Savage is, he's this immortal villain who, like, when he started off as like a caveman, and a meteor fell from the sky, and he slept with it, and the meteor gave him immortality, and then from then on, he started, like, he basically became, like, Genghis Khan and all that. And so he became, like, an immortal man because of it, and so he's watching Firestorm and Killer Frost, and Firestorm's annoyed that Killer Frost is in love with him, and he's like, why couldn't Psycho Pirate just make her like me and not love me? And so while they're in medieval times, they find the Shining Knight, who is one of the heroes of medieval times. He flies on, like, he's like of King Arthur times. He flies on like a Pegasus horse, that he calls Winged Victory, and he thinks that they're evil wizards. But then the shadow beings show up, and he soon realizes that they're on his side. And Vandal Savage is like, oh, these shadows emerging from that machine. Was I wrong about the strangers? Must know more if I ever am to control this world. So, like, yeah. He thinks that they're invaders at first, but they're not. And Shining Knight helps them, and using his sword, he, like, shoots a laser at the shadows, and so he's able to destroy them. But then more shadows come in, and they start forming together. And so in every single time period in Earth that we've seen so far where these shadow beings have appeared, they all start fusing together into this giant shadowy being in the sky. And everyone's just like, oh my god, like, what the fuck? And they see that like these shadowy beings are forming around the giant machines. Like these giant shadowy figures are appearing behind the machines. And so Starfire is like, the machine must be the problem, so let's destroy it. And then, so her and Halo go to destroy the machine, and Kamiyo Hoshi is at the machine, and she's like, no! And she's become the new Dr. Light. She's like wearing a female version of like the Dr. Light costume. He's like, you stupid cretins, you don't realize what you were doing. Get back and leave this vibrational fork alone. It's all that can save our planet. And they don't believe her because they can't understand what she's saying either, but they also just think that she's evil because she's speaking in Japanese. But Superman can understand Japanese because he can speak all languages, I guess. And so he knows that she's trying to defend the machine. And but because they can't understand her, they keep coming at her like Starfire and Halo. And so Dr. Light attacks them. But Donna Troy flies in and saves Starfire from falling. And then Superman goes over to talk to Kamiyo Hoshi because he's like, I can understand her. And he's like, who are you and why did you attack us? And Kamiyo is like, cannot any of you think, man? I tell you, this world is populated by morons. And she like explains to him what's happening and that the world is being destroyed. The antimatter wave is coming, and he sees it. And is like, so many of us, with and without superpowers, have worked for so long and so hard to make the Earth a good place to live. And now this happens. Like, now the world is being destroyed. All we've done is... It seems like everything we've done is for nothing. So we go to Themyscira, or at this point I think it's just known as, like, Paradise Island still. Where Wonder Woman and, like, all of the Amazons are, and... Hippolyta is who is Wonder Woman's mother is like just praying, and she's trying to get like all the Amazons to to help her like fight against this, but they all like Hippolyta refuses to let them. She's like, we're gonna pray instead. And Wonder Woman's like, this sucks, like they won't fight with me, but I can't do anything, like I can't go against her wishes. She's like, right up until the very end, Mother and I are still in a disagreement over something. Because they've always, like, just been butting heads over everything, and even now, they're still butting heads. And, so, Monitor is getting, like, it's getting to a point where this is, like, hopeless. All the warriors that I've sent out, like, nothing's working. The only thing that stands between them and destruction is the Harbinger, Lufa Child, and Pariah. And then Pariah appears to him, and... he's like, Pariah, I've been waiting for your arrival. And Pariah is like, you know me? He's like, yes. And Pariah is like, who are you then? Where is this place? And he's like, I've been everywhere, and I've seen everything. I've seen all these planets get destroyed. And Monitor is like, yeah, I know, I created you. And, in your old life, you were like a despicable human being, and I made you into this. So basically... He's punishing Pariah for all the bad things he's done in his past life. So he's changed him into this guy and, like, forced him to watch these worlds get destroyed. And Pariah is like, you are such a dick. Like, why are you doing this to me? Why are you forcing me to watch all these horrible things happen? And Monitor's just like, I gave you a second chance at life. Like, you should be grateful. He's like, grateful? You piece of shit. I'll destroy you for what you've done to me. And then Monitor is just like, nah, you need me. Like, these machines that I've got, that I've put around the world, like, they're going to save the universe. You know? Like, you don't want to destroy me. Like... And so he explains that, like, when the universe was created and all these Earths were created, because there's so many of them... The Earths were never meant to be separate because they're all weak on their own, but together they are strong. So what he plans on doing is, once the machines are activated, all of the Earths will become one, and they'll all be fused together into one Earth. And he believes that will save everyone, and that'll, like, everyone who hasn't already been erased will end up on this new Earth, and everything should be okay. And Pariah is just like, yeah, but you've been sitting here watching all these people like die, like you're a monster. And Monitor is just like, morals aren't a part of this. Like, I've had to like disconnect myself from that in order for my plan to succeed. And then the Harbinger shows up and like kills the Monitor. She shows up and just blasts him and kills him. And Pariah's just like, oh, what the fuck? Where did she come from? And so, after killing the Monitor, after blasting him, Harbinger just, like, falls down to her death. And, Pariah's just, like, she just, like, falls into, like, an abyss. And then, Pariah is like, what happened? She's gone. Monitor, please explain to me. And he goes over to his body, and he's just like, oh no, Monitor, you have to tell me what's going on. And the Monitor's dead. And, like, Pariah's just like, what's going on? Like, I don't know who any of these people are. Like, why can't somebody tell me? And he knows that the planet is about to be destroyed. And then all he can do is cry. Like, he can't do anything. He's about to see Earth get destroyed. And so Earth 1 and Earth 2 both get destroyed completely. The antimatter wave just completely erases them while Pariah cries. And he too is erased alongside them. And so yeah, we see and it's not just them, all of the Earths get obliterated by the antimatter wave. Until there's nothing left but darkness. So, the mysterious being that Psychopirate is currently under control of, and has kidnapped Red Tornado, is celebrating about how like the two prime universes now he's not celebrating. He's saying like, the two prime universes are gone, but why has my strength not increased? Psychopirate is about, like, what about me? Like, you promised me a world that I can control. And, he's like, silence! Like, the Monitor is dead, and yet I am not more powerful. Why is that? And then he's just like, Psychopirate is like, can you just tell me what's going on? Like, why do you even need these two other... Like, why do you need Red Tornado, and why do you need... the Flash? And it's then that it's revealed that the Flash has been taken control of by, like, has been kidnapped by the Monitor as well. And the reason he's kidnapped the Flash is because he considers the Flash, like, a threat, so he wants to keep him under wraps. Because the Flash can travel through time, and he's super fast, so, like, he sees him as a big threat to him. And then he's like, now, Psychopirate, come. Like, there's work to be done. And so Pariah is mourning over the death of the Monitor. And Lila has turned back from, like, after using her power as the Harbinger to kill Monitor, she's become Lila again. And she's, like, crying. And she's like, I can't believe I killed him. Like, what have I done? And then the Monitor appears on, like, a screen to talk to them. And he's like, don't worry. Like... you did what you had to do. And then he reveals to them, like, what he did. And he explains that because the Harbinger killed him, he was able to become pure energy. Enough pure energy to power his machines on the different Earths. To create a place called the Netherverse, where... the universes of Earth 1 and Earth 2 have been sent to. So they are currently in, like, a limbo state. But, if they stay there for too long by themselves, they're in danger of being destroyed. And they need to get the other universes that are remaining, which there are 3 other universes remaining. They need to get them to the Netherverse as well. And merge all of them together properly. Otherwise... like, in order to save everyone. Like, that's what they gotta do. and but if they don't merge them properly and the universes collide with themselves, which will happen over time, it will lead to the destruction of the universes. And so yeah, he's like, I left this recording to like, these were my last words that I wanted to tell you. And so like Lila is just breaking down because of it, and Alexander is like, he loved you, Lila. And she's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Alex Luthor. And he explains that he is made up of both positive and negative matter. And he explains to her that the Monitor told him how to help her save the universes. And so they, as like a bit of a burial for the Monitor, they send his body out into space. And the Master that Psycho Pirate has been talking to explains that he's going to give Psycho Pirate 3 Earths. He promises him 3 Earths that will be his playthings, as long as he just like shuts up. And the Flash like wakes up and he's like, where am I? Like what have you done with me? Why am I here? And Psycho Pirate looks at him and instills fear into the Flash, and so the Flash becomes really afraid, like overwhelmed with fear. And the Psycho Pirate is just having fun messing with the Flash. And so Lana Lang, who is a Superman character, is currently reporting the news on Earth 1. And all of the different, like on the news, they're reporting the fact that like all of these different time periods have fused together, because when Earths 1 and 2 were sent to the Neververse, they've started to collide with each other, and so the different Earths are like merging together, and so are like the different time periods. So, you know, we got dinosaurs appearing in the middle of the city, and then we got like futuristic city merging with regular city. We got cavemen and Indians all appearing, and pirates. So everything is just like all over the place and wacky. And the Harbinger and Alex Luthor have brought all the heroes to Monitor's... all the heroes and villains. They brought everyone to Monitor's... to the Monitor's satellite to explain them what's going on. So they tell all the heroes exactly what's happening, and that they need their help in order to save the universes. And some of them are like, how can we believe you? Like, we believe that you're lying to us and stuff. So like they're kind of mixed on like what to do, different opinions. Superman and Wonder Woman believe them because they're Superman and Wonder Woman. And you know, the new Dr. Light is just like, I want answers before I join this madness. Why was I brought here? How do they know me? And yeah, so they just explain to them what's happening. That's all that's happening at the moment, is that they're just telling all of these, like, pretty much every character in the DC universe what is going on. And Alan Scott, who is the Green Lantern of Earth 2, asks Jon Stewart, who is the current Green Lantern, he tells him, like, can't you just call the Guardians and get their help? And Jon's like, I've been trying, but my ring's not working properly. I don't know what's going on. And, you know, Alexander Luthor tells the heroes to return to their Earths and just see what's going on for themselves to make their decision. And Superman of Earth 2 is like, yeah, send us back. And the doubters will remain, and the rest of us will actually try to do something, if what you're saying is true. And so they send all the heroes back to their respected Earths. Meanwhile, a group of Green Lanterns, because there's a lot of Green Lanterns, there's one for every sector of the universe, they all head back to Oa, where they discover what's happened to the Guardians. The Guardians are being held in a stasis beam. And before they can set the Guardians free or figure out what's going on, a giant blast happens, and all of the Green Lanterns are caught in it. So we just see them get like blown up. So we head back to Earth 1, and Lois Lane is getting attacked by a saber-toothed tiger, but the Superman of Earth 2 saves her, and she's like, oh wow, you look older than you usually do, Superman. And then her Superman shows up and is like, it's because it's not me, it's a different Superman, like there's two of us. And Lois is like, can we just take this from the top then? Like, this is confusing. Two Supermen? And, so the heroes, like, different heroes from, like, different Earths are, like, experiencing what's going on. You know, Rip Hunter, who is, like, a time traveler, is trying to save his crew. They're, like, traveling through space, and they're just like, man, this is crazy. Like, and they're just trying to, like, survive. And then, like, Wayne Manor, where a bunch of the heroes have been sent, which is, like, Batman and the Outsiders. So, like, Batman, Robin, Huntress, Metamorpho, and Alfred is there. A bunch of cavemen and people who have been under the scrutiny of the Monitor have shown up in Wayne Manor. And there's a bunch of villains there as well, like Riddler stuff, so they're all just confused because they're seeing it for their own eyes. These two time periods forming together. A bunch of heroes are fighting like a T-Rex. You got like Starfire, and they're in Russia. They're fighting like a T-Rex. They're helping Red Star, who is like Russia's only hero. And he was originally called Starfire, and so the current Starfire goes to help him, which is a fun little team up of like they were both called Starfire. And Firestorm discovers that Killer Frost is no longer in love with him, which means that Psycho Pirate's spell has faded. And it's because Psycho Pirate is busy using his powers on the Flash. And the Anti-Monitor decides that it's time to to shoot all of his power into the Red Tornado and transform him into something else. And so the Red Tornado goes through a transformation. We don't get to see it yet, but yeah, he gets transformed and is being planned to be used as a weapon. We get to see how like the crisis is affecting regular people as well. There's like an old couple who sees a version of their daughter, but their daughter is dead. And so the daughter that they're seeing is her counterpart from Earth 1. The Legion of Superheroes from Earth 2 are seeing they're not the Legion of the Legion of Superheroes from Earth 2 are seeing the Legion of Superheroes from Earth 1. They're like seeing the Legion of Superheroes headquarters, and they're like, we don't have a headquarters on Earth 2. And they're like, these must be like a different Legion from another Earth. And so they collide with each other, and they're like seeing each other. And like on Earth 1, a bunch of the sorcerers team up together, like Dr. Fate and Zatanna and Sargon the Sorcerer, who are all like sorcerer characters. Or magic characters. They all team up together against this massive typhoon that is attacking Earth 1. And Wildcat, who is like a vigilante, he's like an older vigilante, is helping them. He saves like a child. He's like trying to save a child, and he gets hit by lightning in his legs, and he drops the child. But the child is saved by a woman named Yolanda. And unfortunately, after being struck by lightning, Wildcat, or Ted Grant as he's known as, his legs are shattered and he can't walk anymore. Both of his legs have been shattered by the lightning. And then all of a sudden, like, they discover, like, what this this typhoon is. It, like, crashes into a billboard, and it turns out that it was Red Tornado, and he's been sent to Earth 1, and he's unconscious at the moment. But they care more about Wildcat than they do Red Tornado, because, like, Wildcat's a human and Red Tornado is supposed to be a robot. But the master, like, Psycho Pirate's master, has hinted at the fact that, like, Red Tornado might not actually be a robot or a human, but something else. And so after seeing all of this, the heroes agree that they're going to help, because they've seen what they needed to see. And, you know, he's explained to them, like, if you don't help us, like, we're all gonna die. And so they agree to help. But then all of a sudden, the Monitor's satellite gets attacked by, like, antimatter energy. And the Psycho Pirate is like, how are you doing that? Like, to his master, he's like, how are you doing that? I didn't see you use any weapons. And, the master is like, I don't require weaponry, like, outside weaponry, Psycho Pirate. And the Psycho Pirate is like, you said that there were 3 universes left, but I thought you said something about an apocalypse? Like, what about that? And the master is like, Darkseid and his lackeys are gonna get it too. Like, I'm coming for them eventually. And so, like, Apocalypse is the like, planet that Darkseid lives on that is outside of the universe. It's outside of, like, time. It's in a place called the Fourth World, which is its own dimension. And the Flash is, like, egging the master on. He's like, why are you so afraid to show your true self? Like, are you a little wuss? And the master's like, I don't really care. But if you want to see my true form, here you go. And he's like, my name is the Monitor. And he's like this really freaky looking version of the Monitor. It's like all robotic and like messed up looking. So he reveals his true form to Flash and Psycho Pirate. And another Earth called Earth X, which is an Earth that is just constantly in World War II. This is the one where World War II is happening all the time. Is being hit by the antimatter wave, and on that Earth is a group called the Freedom Fighters, who are a group of superheroes who are basically just like fighting against World War II forever. And so they're seeing their world get destroyed, and so they're deciding that they're going to give it all they've got. And so they charge straight for the antimatter wave, but they don't get erased. And so yeah, the Monitor, who like, the Flash is like horrified by this new Monitor's design. We'll call him the Anti-Monitor so that it's not confusing, because that's what his name ends up being. This guy is the Anti-Monitor. He's the antimatter universe version of the Monitor, because when the universe was created, there was an accident that happened, and it created an antimatter universe, and that's where this Monitor is from. And his goal is to destroy everything, while the other Monitor's goal is to preserve everything. And the Anti-Monitor decides to, like, heed his promise to Psycho Pirate, and he tells Psycho Pirate that he's going to give him, like, power to control the 3 Earths that are remaining, and that his goal is to destroy these 3 Earths. And so he imbues Psycho Pirate with the power to control these 3 Earths. And so all the heroes are currently in Monitor's satellite, and it's being ripped apart by antimatter energy. They're trying to stop the satellite from being destroyed. And Pariah disappears again because another world is being destroyed, and he has to be there to watch it. And he's like, why are you doing this to me? And he disappears against his will. Alexander Luthor decides that he needs to sacrifice himself in order to save the satellite. And so he, like, straps himself into this machine, and he prepares to do it. But Harbinger is like, I'm sorry, Alexander, but I can't let you sacrifice yourself. And so she knocks him out, and then blasts through the, like, energy tube that created her. Because this entire time, Lila Michaels' physical body has been in that energy tube that she went into to become the Harbinger. The Harbinger is a separate being that came out of her physical body. So the Harbinger goes back into Lila's physical body, and then the satellite explodes. Like, the Monitor's satellite completely explodes, destroyed forever. You still with me? Because, yeah, a lot's going on. So Ted Grant has been taken back to his, like, the Wildcat Ted Grant has been taken back to his apartment to rest after his shattered legs. He's been taken back there by the Atom, who's another hero. And Yolanda, the woman from before who saved the child for Ted, is talking about how, like, Wildcat's legacy needs to live on. Like, she's like, Wildcat is currently out of commission. Maybe his legacy can go on. Go to Earth 1, where Lex Luthor is escaping from his home, and he gets hit by a beam and is brought up to Brainiac's ship, where he's introduced to Brainiac. And he's met Brainiac before, but he's never met this version of Brainiac, so he's like, I've never met, like, you're not Brainiac. And Brainiac is like, yeah, this is my new form. I need your help, like, we need to, I've calculated a plan that will allow us to both become rulers of this universe. So let's work together. And so we head back to Earth X, and a group of heroes have been sent to Earth X from the Monitor satellite. So, like, through the destruction of the Monitor, Harbinger has managed to use her, like, of the Monitor satellite, Harbinger has managed to use her power to send all the heroes to different Earths. To save them from destruction, you know? And so some of the heroes have landed on Earth X. We got, like, Star Sapphire, Captain Steel, or Steel, I think he's just known as, Dr. Light, Hawkman, and Northwind. They're on Earth X. They're trying to save Earth X, and they find that the Freedom Fighters have been taken control of by Psycho Pirate, and so they fight the Freedom Fighters. And the current Justice League, at least they're calling themselves the Justice League, they arrive on Earth 4, and they kind of go through the same thing. We kind of see the same thing over these 3 Earths, so, like, Martian Manhunter and Jay Garrick's Flash and Block, like, all these different characters, Katana, they're sent to Earth 4, and they have to fight the Charleston Comics characters, which are the residents of Earth 4, so, you know, that's Blue Beetle, The Question, Captain Atom, Peacemaker, Judo Master, so they're fighting them because they're under Psycho Pirate's control as well. But they can feel that they're under somebody else's control, and they don't want to fight them, but they can't resist it. And in Atlantis, Aquaman can't find, like, so we go to, like, where Atlantis is supposed to be on Earth 1 and 2. Aquaman is searching for his home, and he's searching for Mera, who is his wife, and he can't find them. And his arch enemies, Black Manta and Orm, like his brother, Ocean Master, is watching him from a distance. And another Aquaman character called Dolphin sees them, and then she witnesses them disappear, and she's like, where did they go? And on another Earth, which is Earth S, on this Earth is where Captain Marvel, he's now known as Shazam, and his family lives. So you got, like, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, I think Marvel Jr. is the other one's name. Captain Marvel Jr. Like, they all live on this Earth, and so, like, Supergirl and Wonder Woman and the Teen Titans are all here, and Supergirl is fighting Captain Marvel because the Marvels are under the control of Psycho Pirate as well. And so, like, Supergirl is fighting Captain Marvel, and Wonder Woman is fighting Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr. And on these different Earths, they all notice that they can see, like, a giant silhouette of Harbinger in the sky, and they're wondering what Harbinger is doing. And Harbinger uses her power to pull all of these 3 Earths universes into the Neververse, where the other 2 Earths universes are currently residing. And so now all 5 of the universes that are remaining have all been brought into the Neververse, and that's what she was doing. She was using her power to do that, and she uses all of her power, and so she's no longer the Harbinger anymore. She's lost her Harbinger form because she used all of her power to save all the universes and bring them into the Neververse. And so now she's just Lila Michaels, and she's stuck on a rock with Alexander, and she's just like, there's no way I can atone for what I've done. Like, I killed the Monitor, and Alexander was like, yes, but you saved everyone. Like, you've given everyone more time to succeed. But the planets, like, these 5 universes are all colliding, so we still got to find a way to merge them together properly so that they don't destroy each other. And then Lila is just like, I've also got one other question. And Alexander is like, what is it? And he's like, how do we get off this floating rock? And so we go to Earth 2, where a bunch of villains are being chased by some Earth 2 heroes. But then the villains disappear, and they're like, what? Where did they go? And so, like, villains are disappearing for some reason, but not heroes. We saw it in Atlantis, now we've seen it at Earth 2. And Ted Grant is still in his, like, bed, resting, and Yolanda has appeared before him and is basically telling him that, like, she's taking over the mantle of Wildcat in his honor. So she's become the new Wildcat. And Alex is basically consoling Lila and saying that, like, they don't really have much choice but to, like, wait on the rock that they've been stranded on and just wonder what, like, Alex is just like, and I just have to wonder what I can do to stop this. And he's like, before he died, the monitor said you had a destiny to fulfill. Oh yeah, and it's Lila that's saying this. She's like, before he died, the monitor said you had a destiny to fulfill. Trust him, Alex Luthor. Trust him, Alex Luthor. Trust him. And that's kind of where we're left off. So Lila and Alexander Luthor are on their floating rock that they've been on, and Pariah appears before them, and Lila and Alexander are ready to just, like, sit there and just wait for whatever to happen, because they can't really do anything. When Pariah shows up, he's like, tell me why, like, the Monitor has done this to me, why he is making me watch all these universes be destroyed. And Lila is like, I can't really tell you why, but, like, he said that he is, like, punishing you for what you've done in the past. Like, what did you do? And Pariah is like, I'll have to explain everything then, but what we need to do is 5 Earths remain, and we need to go and grab, like, the representatives of these universes so that we can explain to them what's going on. So they want to go and grab some people, like some heroes from these different Earths that are currently in the Neververse, bring them together and explain everything. So on Earth S, where Shazam is, his arch nemesis, Dr. Sivana, and one of Dr. Sivana's, like, henchmen both disappear. And Wonder Woman and Supergirl and Shazam all notice it happening. And we find out that the reason why all these villains have been disappearing is because of Brainiac. He's been teleporting them to his ship. And Wonder Woman and the heroes point out the fact that, like, Shazam is no longer under the control of Psycho Pirate. They come to the conclusion that Psycho Pirate was the one responsible for manipulating their emotions and taking control of them. There's a really funny moment where Miss Marvel shows up and is like, Uncle Marvel and I are fine, so's Junior, and she's got, like, them in her arms. And then Beast Boy is like, Captain Marvel, Mary Marvel, Captain Marvel Jr., now Uncle Marvel? If Kid Marvel, Baby Marvel, and Fetus Marvel show up, I quit. And I thought that's probably the funniest line in this entire book, which is a pretty, serious series. They did some good humor to cut it out. But yeah, Lila is the one who explains that Psycho Pirate controlled their emotions. And then so she takes them to the floating rock in order to explain. Like, she recruits them and takes them to the exploding rock. Meanwhile, the new Wildcat, Yolanda, is watching these All-Star Squadron, who are basically they're friends of Ted Grant, and they're talking about Ted Grant and how disappointed they are. And because they're depressed, Yolanda was thinking of introducing herself to them, but then she changes her mind and was like, maybe they'll never see Yolanda again. Like, maybe Like, I'll have to see if I can actually prove myself worthy enough to talk to them. And so she leaves. And Pariah has gone to Earth 4 to recruit some of the heroes from Earth 4. Blue Beetle and Martian Manhunter, I think he recruits, I'm pretty sure. And on Earth X, Starfire recruits some of the Freedom Fighters to come with her as well. And on Earth 1, Earth 2 Superman and Earth 1 Superman are both recruited by Alexander, and Lady Quark is there and she gets recruited as well. And so they all get taken to the floating rock where Alexander, Luthor, Lila Michaels, and Pariah are. So we've got Lady Quark, Superman Earth 1. We've got Uncle Sam, who is a member of the Freedom Fighters. We got Shazam. We got Earth 2 Superman. We got Blue Beetle. So they're all together. They are the chosen heroes. And Lila basically explains how everything began, how this all started. So it all started on Oa, which is where the Owens live, the Guardians. So back in the old days of Oa, there was this one Guardian whose name is Krona, and he wanted to figure out the secrets to the universe. And he went against all their other wishes and was like, I am about to discover the secrets of the universe. And when he does, he unknowingly causes a massive surge of, like, antimatter energy to be created, which blows up, like, his machine and, like, blows up all of the Guardians and creates the antimatter universe. That's as well as I can explain it. He figures out the secrets of the universe and unknowingly creates the antimatter universe as an accident, like, as a reaction. And upon the creation of the antimatter universe, the multiverse is also created. And so, yeah, he creates the multiverse and the antimatter universe. And Oa, a separate copy of Oa is created within the antimatter universe. And that copy is called Quad, which is an antimatter version of Oa that is completely evil. And it's full of evil people called the Quadians. And Krona is put on trial for what he's done. He gets his physical body destroyed and he becomes just a bunch of energy as punishment and then gets just sent into space forever. And in order to protect themselves from the antimatter universe and the Quadians, the Guardians create a group of robots called the Manhunters. But then they abandon the Manhunters, which would eventually lead to the Manhunters rebelling against them in the future. And so they abandon the Manhunters and they create the Green Lanterns instead. The Green Lantern Corps. Then the Guardians start like arguing between each other over their ideals. And so some of them split off. Like they split into two and a civil war starts between them. And so you got the Guardians and then the other half become a group known as the Controllers. And so like they fight each other in a civil war. And over the years, the creation of Quad and Oa and like the antimatter and the positive matter, the creation of like these two new satellites, so you've got like Quad and then Oa, creates two new beings as well. So on Quad, the antimatter energy creates the Monitor. So the Monitor is born on Quad. And then on Oa, on a moon of Oa, not on Oa, but on the moon of Oa, the Monitor is born out of like the positive energy. And the Anti-Monitor uses the antimatter. Like after being born, he like absorbs the antimatter to become extremely powerful. And then he creates a race of beings called the Quadians, who become his well, he doesn't create the Quadians, he transforms the Quadians into, like, these beings called Thunderbolts. Like, he uses his power to take over Quad, and then he transforms Cordians into like his henchmen, which he calls the Thunderers, not the Thunderbolts, the Thunderers. And then he transforms some of the Thunderers to become his elite men, which are those shadow demons that we've been seeing throughout the story. It's as well as I can explain it. That's as well as the book explains it. It goes into more detail, but I'm trying to keep it as straightforward as possible. The Monitor senses the presence of the Anti-Monitor and creates like a... Like, he like spends his life in meditation, learning the secrets of the universe. And upon sensing the Anti-Monitor, they wage war with each other for 1 million years, but because they have equal power, neither side wins, and eventually, after a simultaneous attack, they both end up in like a coma for 9 billion years. And then Pariah reveals that the reason why he's being punished is because he was the one responsible for awakening the Anti-Monitor after those 9 billion years. So we get a look into like Pariah's past. So Pariah was just a douche. He was a scientist who was trying to figure out the origin of the universe. He'd already figured out how to cure disease and all that kind of stuff, and everyone praised him like a hero. He was just this really obnoxious douche. So he tries to figure out the origin of the universe, and everyone goes against him and is like, you shouldn't. You're messing with things that you shouldn't do. And he was like, I don't care. I'm gonna do it because I want to be like that guy. You know, I want to be the greatest person in the universe who has figured out this whole thing. And so he creates a machine that forms like an antimatter chamber, and then he breaks the barrier to the antimatter chamber and awakens it, and enters it. Where and upon entering the antimatter chamber, he gets to see the beginning of the universe. But upon doing so, he awakens the He unknowingly creates like a wave of antimatter energy, which destroys his entire planet. But because he's in the antimatter chamber, he's safe. But now he's the last remaining person of his own planet. And the antimatter wave that he created is what awakens the Anti-Monitor. And so the Anti-Monitor is awakened, and then he absorbs the antimatter that Pariah created to become as powerful as he is now. But a side effect of awakening the Anti-Monitor is that he also awakened the Monitor. And the Monitor created like an energy globe where he saw Pariah floating into the antimatter chamber and transformed him into Pariah and gave him his powers. And so Pariah became essentially a divining rod for the Anti-Monitor. So wherever Pariah is sent is wherever evil goes. So the Monitor is able to keep track of Anti-Monitor through Pariah. So whenever Anti-Monitor is attacking a planet and destroying it, Pariah is there. So he's used as like a divining rod for the Anti-Monitor. And then Lila kind of explains like how Monitor found her and how she was drifting in the ocean and he found her. Oh, and it also goes over the fact that like the stronger Anti-Monitor gets, the weaker Monitor gets. And all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so they explain that to the heroes. The whole everything. And so the different Earths, we go to the different Earths and the different heroes are just talking about like how the world is ending and they can feel it. And we've got some of like the most powerful characters in the DC universe, like the Spectre and Deadman. Or he's not super powerful, but like you got the Spectre and Phantom Stranger, who are like these omniscient powers in the DC universe, and Deadman, who is this guy that can just like possess people's bodies and stuff. He's asking them like, "Why aren't you doing anything?" And the Spectre is like, "Because like we don't want to, or like we're powerless. Like it's not just that we don't want to at the moment, but it's also like we can't really do anything because the Anti-Monitor is too strong even for us." So we're just not going to do anything. I'm not even going to bother trying. And Pariah tells the heroes that he he is the one that will be able to lead them to the Anti-Monitor because he is always drawn to the Anti-Monitor. And Alexander Luthor reveals that he can create a pathway to the antimatter universe. So they can travel through this doorway that Alexander Luthor creates and follow Pariah, who will take them to the Anti-Monitor so that they can fight him and hopefully beat him. And so Alexander uses his power to open up the gateway, and they enter into the antimatter universe. And upon entering the antimatter universe, they make it to an asteroid, which is where the Monitor resides. They fly into the asteroid, the Anti-Monitor senses that they've arrived, and he asks Psycho Pirate to take control of their minds with his emotional powers, but Psycho Pirate is like, I used up all my power, like, when you got me to control all 3 of those Earths, it took a lot out of me and I can't use my powers right now. And he gets backhanded by Anti-Monitor and he's like, you are useless! He's like, I guess I'll have to deal with them myself. And so the heroes all get attacked by, like, these golem creatures that Anti-Monitor is controlling. So they fight these giant stone creatures. And while they're in there, Superman of Earth 2 gets hit by a golem creature. And he realizes that he's bleeding. And so he can get hurt in the antimatter universe. So, like, he can use his powers still. Like, the Superman and, like, Superman from Earth 2, Supergirl and Superman from Earth 1 can still use their powers in the antimatter universe, but they are prone to being hurt and or killed, even. So they're fighting this golem creature, and eventually they manage to destroy it. And while they're while the heroes are, like, destroying these creatures, Superman of Earth 1... Pariah and Dr. Light decide to go on ahead to find the Anti-Monitor. Superman from Earth 1 follows after them, while Superman from Earth 2 stays behind and helps everyone else fight these creatures. And while they're on their way to the Anti-Monitor, Pariah gets crushed by a giant mountain, and they assume that he's dead. Like, it just comes out of nowhere, he just gets crushed. And she's just like, Dr. Light is just like, Pariah! Superman 1 is like, we should go back and check if Pariah, like, Superman from Earth 1, I'll just call him Superman 1. Superman 1 says, like, we should go back and check on Pariah, he might still be alive, and Dr. Light is like, no, I'm gonna go defeat Anti-Monitor, like, that's what we've come here to do, I'm gonna go fight him. And Superman 1 goes after her, and is like, you know, she's gonna need help, she's not gonna be able to beat him by herself. And so when they get to Anti-Monitor's, like, main chamber, they find this, like, machine called a solar collector, so they assume that that's why Superman, Supergirl, like Superman 1, Supergirl, and Superman 2's powers aren't at full capacity, is because the Anti-Monitor absorbing the solar energy within the antimatter universe to power his machine. And so Superman goes to destroy the machine because he decides, if I destroy the machine, it'll allow us to be at full power and it will help us defeat those monsters. And so, but as he goes to destroy it, he gets attacked by the Anti-Monitor. And when the Anti-Monitor attacks him and hurts him, and Superman screams, and Supergirl hears him scream and is like, I gotta go save my cousin. So she goes to help Superman. And Superman 1 is being attacked by Anti-Monitor, and Anti-Monitor is, like, beating the crap out of him. Dr. Light tries to attack Anti-Monitor, but Anti-Monitor just blasts her and beats her, like, right away. And Anti-Monitor is just beating the shit out of Superman. Like, he is killing Superman 1. And Supergirl finds Pariah, and she's like, where's Superman? And Pariah's like, he's up ahead, he's fighting the Anti-Monitor. And Supergirl's like, I gotta go save him. And Pariah's like, no, like, he'll kill you. And Supergirl's like, I've got to save him. Like, he's my cousin. And so she goes through, and, like, Anti-Monitor is about to kill Superman 1, and Supergirl just charges in and smashes into the Anti-Monitor and just starts beating the shit out of the Anti-Monitor. And she, like, damages him to the point of, like, destroying the Anti-Monitor's armor. Like, she just destroys him. And so his body is, like, his physical body is breaking apart, and so the Anti-Monitor is becoming nothing but energy. And because of his Anti-Monitor energy getting out of every, like, spilling out, it's, like, hitting Supergirl. Like, if you get too close to the Anti-Monitor at this point, like, you will die. But Supergirl is like, there's only one choice. In order to stop the Anti-Monitor, I gotta do this. Like, I've got to sacrifice myself. And so she, full head, just plunges into the Anti-Monitor and smashes him into his machine and starts beating the shit out of him. And the energy is, like, killing her. Like, she's being attacked by his energy while she's, like, beating him up. And Dr. Light is like, he's killing her! And Supergirl's just like, go, you gotta go now! And Dr. Light is like, no! And then Supergirl just gets, like, a full blast of, like, antimatter energy right through her chest. It just blasts straight through her body. And Superman sees it happen, and he's like, Kara! And then the Anti-Monitor is like, my body is destroyed. I cannot remain here. And so he leaves the asteroid, his body having been destroyed. And Superman finds... And after he leaves, everyone is okay now. All the monsters go away. So after he leaves, Superman finds Supergirl. And she dies in his arms. She's like, thank heavens. The worlds have a chance to live. You're crying. Please don't. You taught me to be brave, and I was. I love you so much for what you are. For how good you are. And then she dies. And Superman is like, no! I'll kill him for this! And then Superman 2 is like, no. He's like, what? You let him get away with killing her? He's like, Kara gave us all a chance to save our worlds. Don't let your hunger for vengeance destroy that chance. And Superman's like, you're right. So Superman takes Supergirl's body away, and they all escape from the asteroid as it explodes, like the Anti-Monitor's base before it explodes. And because the machine has been destroyed, the merging of the 5 different Earths has been halted for now. So they're no longer at risk of destroying each other by colliding. And so Supergirl's death is being reported on television. They're all having like a memorial for her. And Batgirl is on TV and she's talking. I really like this speech. She's like, Kara's a hero without equal. She was often my confidant and always my friend. Kara was a hero who, yes, cared about herself, but always seemed to care more for others. It is easy to dismiss as something special that made her a hero because she had powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. But a hero is not measured by what her power may be, but by the courage she shows in living and the warmth she holds in her heart. Let her courage give us courage. Let her love give us love, and let her hope give us hope. Kara is a hero. She will not be forgotten. And then Superman takes Supergirl's body to the Fortress of Solitude, where he's talking to her. He's like, I will miss you. The days will seem shorter now, the nights that much longer. Sometimes I forget how mortal we really are. I don't believe I'll ever forget that again. I remember when you landed on Earth, a girl of 15, filled with life and hopes. Linda Lee, hidden in that orphanage, secretly practicing your powers each night. Lord, I remember how proud I was the day we revealed your presence to the world. And now, Kara, you are gone. And I grieve. I live on, hurt, but not disillusioned. Sad, but still hopeful that the dreams shared by you and me and all those others, those with special powers and especially those with none, those dreams of peace and hope can still come true. We live on remembering and honoring the past, but always looking to the future. Goodbye, Kara, Linda Lee, Supergirl. I will miss you forever. And so, yeah, I really love that whole speech. He carries her body into space, where the sun is, and that's kind of where that issue ends, is that he's just flying into space with her body. She's wrapped in her cape. It's just a very good moment. And so, the Anti-Monitor goes back to, like, his other base, where the Flash is being held by Psycho Pirate, and Psycho Pirate is talking to the Flash. He's like, I failed the Anti-Monitor. The Anti-Monitor is probably going to kill me now. We should help each other. The Flash is still unconscious, but Psycho Pirate is like, will you join me and, like, fight against him? And and then Anti-Monitor shows up and he's like, that wouldn't save you, Psycho Pirate. And Psycho Pirate's like, you're alive? And he's like, yep, I'm back, and I've got a new body that I've created. Like, it took some time, but I've created myself a new body. And so the Anti-Monitor has a new body now, and Psycho Pirate is like, you're not going to kill me, are you? And Anti-Monitor is like, no, I actually need you right now, and you're lucky that I don't have time to create somebody else like you to help me. And so Anti-Monitor is like, now let's go. We gotta, like, go put this plan into fruition. Like, I don't have time left to sit around anymore. I gotta get started right now. We gotta destroy everyone. So they leave, and we head to Apocalypse, which is where Darkseid and his people reside. Darkseid is talking about how, like, the Anti-Monitor is destroying all the universes, and that they might be in danger. And Darkseid is like, it's okay, I've used the energies of Apocalypse to conceal us, so he can't even see Apocalypse. And he basically says, like, basically, we're gonna wait, and if the heroes win, then everything will go back to normal. And if they lose, then the Anti-Monitor will be weak enough that I can just go in and kill him. And so that's what Darkseid is like, you know? He's like, with patience shall come victory. Remember that lesson, Darkseid. It has served me well throughout eternity. And so he just plans on being like, screw them, I'm not gonna do anything unless the Anti-Monitor wins. And so the Guardians are found by the Green Lanterns, and the Green Lanterns are like, why didn't you tell us that you were in trouble? Like, we could have come and saved you earlier. And the Guardians are like, it's too late now, like, we made the decision. They're having a bit of a disagreement amongst each other about, like, the decision that they made. But now that the Guardians have been saved, the Green Lanterns' power rings all work properly. The Green Lanterns want to go and help save the Earths, and the Guardians are kind of against them doing that. It's just something that they voted on. They disagree with each other on it, but that's politics. And, the Legion of Superheroes are, talking about what's currently going on, and that the antimatter energy is still at risk of destroying them. And Brainiac 5 is pushing himself further now more than ever because he had a tight bond with Kara, and so he's incredibly upset over her death. And Element Lad is like, I know you were close to Kara, but, like, you shouldn't be pushing yourself this far. And Brainiac 5 is like, shut up, Element Lad. Until the universes are set right, none of us is safe. And, so Firestorm is just in his city chilling. And another character known as Firehawk comes to see him, and they get called by Vixen, who is another character, and she has kidnapped a character known as Tio Morrow. And Tio Morrow is the man that created the Red Tornado, and they need his help to figure out how to make the Red Tornado okay again, because if you remember, Red Tornado crash-landed into Earth after having been altered by Anti-Monitor, so they need Tio Morrow to, like, take a look inside him and see if he can fix him. And they reveal that Ray Palmer, the Atom, is currently inside Red Tornado. And he's, like, looking around and is like, man, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like this. Even myself, Ray Palmer, couldn't build a robot this good. There's a funny moment where Tio Morrow is like, when I build him right, I build him right. And Cyborg is there, and he's like, shut up, you're a villain. Like, just shut the fuck up. It's partly your fault that this is happening. And then Ray Palmer finds a mysterious object inside Red Tornado, and Tio Morrow was like, I did not put that in there. That was not built by me. Somebody changed Red Tornado's insides. And so Green Lantern John Stewart has gone to pick up another character called Blue Devil, who can apparently help them figure out what's going on with Red Tornado, because Blue Devil has knowledge within, like, bionics and stuff. So he goes to help them. And as Tio Morrow is taking off Red Tornado's head, Blue Devil figures out that Red Tornado's body has been altered to become, like, a bomb. Because he notices that, like, Red Tornado's eyes are flashing as the head gets pulled off. And so, like, they get, like, Blue Devil, like, grabs Teomoro just as, like, Red Tornado's body explodes. Ray Palmer gets out just in time. And yeah, Red Tornado's body just completely explodes. And the whole of the satellite is being destroyed by this explosion, like the Justice League satellite that they're in. Teomoro manages to escape. And Blue Devil, like, he runs away, and Blue Devil tries to go after him, but he gets pulled into a portal. I'm not even going to explain who Blue Devil is. He's a DC character. He looks like a devil. He's not actually a devil. He's wearing, like, a biological suit. It's as much as I'll explain that character, because even I don't know a lot about him. But that's as much as I know about him. He gets sucked into a portal. Like, a portal opens up and sucks him in while he's going after Teomoro. And he ends up on the ship of a group called the Omega Men, who are a race of beings. They're a race of superheroes. And their ship gets destroyed by the Red Tornado energy. Like, from the explosion. And so they're in, like, the vacuum of space, holding on to the pieces of their ship as it's been blown up. And the Blue Devil is like, shit, how am I going to get out of this one? And so we go to Quad, where the Anti-Monitor is building an antimatter cannon with the help of the Quadians. He's using them to build this antimatter cannon for him, which he plans on using to destroy the entire universe. And Psycho Pirate is basically going to, like, he's kind of, like, teasing the Flash. He's like, in fact, Flashy, I'd like to see you whimper a bit right now. Look me in the eye so it can turn you into a fearful crybaby. Because Psycho Pirate has realized that his powers have come back. But Flash reveals that he's awake now and his powers have come back. So he escapes from, like, the trap that they have him in. And he punches Psycho Pirate out. And he punches out the Thunderer that's, like, watching guard over him. And then Psycho Pirate tries to, like, use his powers on the Flash, but the Flash is strong enough to resist them. And so he punches the shit out of Psycho Pirate, and he's like, I've already been convicted for murder, so what difference would it make if I committed it again, like, right now? You know, I've already committed murder before, I'll do it again. And Psycho Pirate is like, no, don't kill me, please. That's the one thing I'm scared of, is dying. And so Flash is like, alright, then I won't kill you. Instead, I'll use you for a plan that I've got. And so he starts using his super speed to speed Psycho Pirate around, using Psycho Pirate's powers to take control of the minds of the Thunderers on Quad, so that the Thunderers will attack the Anti-Monitor. So the the Thunderers start attacking the Anti-Monitor through Psycho Pirate's powers, one after the other, like, until there's, like, a dozen of them all attacking the Anti-Monitor. And then Psycho Pirate is like, okay, I did what you wanted me to, now you gotta save me. And Flash is like, Psycho Pirate, all I gotta say is, you were willing to join the Anti-Monitor despite the fact that you knew he already destroyed thousands of universes, and was intended to destroy ours as well. You deserve whatever happens to you. Besides, if I can take apart this cannon, I might still be able to save the universe. And so Flash enters the antimatter cannon, and he sees all the antimatter energy, and he's like, if I run against it, I'll be able to disperse the antimatter energy and destroy the cannon, but I will destroy myself in the process. But I gotta do this. I gotta sacrifice myself to save everyone. So he starts running against the antimatter energy, and he's feeling the pain. He's like, I can feel it destroying me. Like, everyone I love, like, Fiona, Wally, Dexter, Ralph, Sue, Hal, all the people I loved. Forgive me for leaving you like I did. Understand why. Please understand why. And the Anti-Monitor can sense that his cannon is being destroyed, and he's just like, all the power gone! He will die for this! He's just pissed off because the Flash is destroying his cannon. And as the Flash is running around, dispersing the antimatter energy, he's going so fast that he is traveling back through time. And so it explains that when, like, Batman and Joker saw the Flash earlier, it was this moment that the Flash was going through. It was what is happening right now is what Batman had seen previously. He saw a vision of the Flash traveling back through time to see him. And the Flash runs so fast that he disintegrates. He falls apart. He, like, turns into a skeleton until he's just nothing. He's like, there's hope. There is always hope. Time to save the world. Time, back in time. Do what you have to. We must save the world. We must save the world. And he just completely disintegrates, and the cannon explodes. The Anti-Monitor is like, he destroyed himself to destroy my cannon. 1,000 universes and more have died because of me, yet those humans have thwarted my plans, and more than once. They will suffer for what they have done. Oh, how they will suffer. And so the Flash has died, and the Anti-Monitor was the only one present. He's the only one who knows that he's died, that he's given up his life. So right now the Flash has died, and no one even knows. So the Anti-Monitor is like, he starts absorbing all of the antimatter of his universe, because he's like, that's it, I've had enough. I am going to destroy, like, you've destroyed my cannons, and now I'm going to do this myself. I am going to attack everyone, and I'm going to kill them with my own power. And I will be victorious. And so we go to, like, Challenger Mountain, where the Challengers of the Unknown are, which are a group of characters that are similar to, like, the Fantastic Four, where they're just these group of scientists who explore and go on adventures. They sense the Anti-Monitor's power, but then they can also hear something screaming as well, and they're like, what is that? Like, what's that thing that we can hear screaming? And it's the Spectre from earlier. The Spectre can sense the Anti-Monitor's power, and so he screams in protest, and he's like, that's it. I have to do something. I've got to stand in the way. It's time for me to step in. So we go to Oa, and on Oa, the Guardians have decided to recruit Guy Gardner to become a new Green Lantern because they need his help. Now, if you don't know who Guy Gardner is, Guy Gardner was the second choice because, you know, when Hal Jordan became Green Lantern, he met an alien called Abin Sur, and Abin Sur died and his ring passed on to Hal. Guy Gardner was, like, the second choice, but he ended up in a coma during Green Lantern series, and so the ring didn't end up going to him. But now he's out of the coma, and he gets a new ring from the Guardians and becomes Green Lantern. So they're telling him, like, we need your help. You've got the gumption to do this. And just as they're about to send Guy Gardner away to help save the universe, Oa gets, like, the Owen Citadel that they're in gets attacked by some sort of energy that just completely destroys everything, and it kills all of the Guardians except for one. There's only one Guardian left. Guy Gardner comes out and he's like, oh my god, the Guardians are dead. And the last Guardian is like, and he's like, I thought you were immortal. And the last Guardian is like, yes, but we were like, antimatter can kill immortal beings like us. Go, Guy Gardner. You must save us. Like, you must go. You have a duty to fulfill. And so Guy Gardner leaves. And so we go to Brainiac's base. And over the course of the series, it has been revealed that Brainiac has been recruiting all the villains, teleporting them to his base. Lex Luthor says that, like, they are going to invade Earths all at once and take over all of them. And they're going to start with, like, 3 Earths, specifically Earth X, Earth S, and Earth 4, and then they're going to try and expand to Earths 1 and 2 after that. The reason why they're going to leave Earths 1 and 2 last is because those Earths have the most dangerous heroes. And they're going to attack the Earths now because most of the Earth's powerful heroes are busy looking for the Monitor, so they're off of those specific Earths, so it's easier for them to take those Earths first. And when they're announcing their plan, like when Lex Luthor is talking and announcing the plan alongside Brainiac, his Earth 2 counterpart is like, why are you teaming up with that Lex Luthor and not me? Like, I'm way smarter than that guy. Like, we don't need 2 Lex Luthors. And Brainiac just destroys him and is like, you're right, we don't need 2 Lex Luthors. goodbye, and just like eliminates Earth 2 Lex Luthor. And we discover that the Tamaranians who come from Tamaran, they are the same species as Starfire. They're gonna take Starfire back to their home planet, and so they teleport Starfire to their ship, where she introduces them to Nightwing, who she is currently dating. And they say that there's like a secret that they're keeping a secret from Starfire, and this kind of worries Jericho, and Jericho is the Titan that cannot speak. But yeah, he's worried because he kind of hears what they're talking about. And so currently the different Earths are like peaceful at the moment, but everyone can sense that something's wrong. Like it's peaceful, but the different time periods are still forming together. Like there's like the future and past are still one at the moment. And so they're all reporting on what's currently happening. And Clark Kent is also reporting, and they point out the fact that he's been a little bit colder lately. And as we know, it's because Supergirl has died. They even point out that he's been colder ever since Supergirl died. So Superman's dealing with it pretty harshly. And he mentions how Alexander Luthor is planning to go and speak in front of all the leaders of all 5 Earths. And then, like, energy starts, like, the antimatter energy starts coming, like, enveloping the world again. And the different Earths are just, they kind of, like, are miserable places to live because most of the heroes are gone. So they don't have very many people protecting them. There are still a few heroes remaining, but not enough. Yeah, it's pretty grim. And so Alexander Luthor, Lila Michaels, and Pariah are all at the United Nations. They're basically explaining what's going on. Pariah says that like there's no danger at the moment because if there was, he wouldn't be there. So there must not be any danger. And Alexander Luthor explains that the antimatter has gone away, not only from the Earths, but from himself as well. And so only positive matter remains. So they're saying that because of that, it's all over and everything is peaceful at the moment. But a lot of the people at the United Nations, like a lot of the leaders, don't believe them and kind of like, what do we do about these 5 other Earths? Like, what's stopping for any of the other Earths from attacking my Earth or his Earth? Like, what are we going to do about that? Like, what if they rebel against us? What if there's like a civil war between these different Earths? And Pariah is trying to explain that like they have nothing to worry about, but then all of a sudden he starts to disappear. And that's when he realizes that there must be danger because he is teleporting away and he only teleports away when there's danger. And so as soon as Pariah disappears, Brainiac appears inside the United Nations. He explains to everyone that all of the villains have joined together. They've taken over Earths 4, X, and S. And they're going to take over Earth 1 and 2 as well. And if they don't give them Earth 1 and 2, then Earths 1 and 2 are probably going to get destroyed. Because they're just going to allow like 4, X, and S to combine with Earths 1 and 2, and all the Earths are going to end up destroyed. So it's like, either you let us destroy everything, or you give us these Earths and we gain full control over everything. So yeah, like either you all die, or we become the kings of all the Earths. That's the ultimatum that they give them. And so Clark Kent sees this, and he's like, gotta turn into Superman, because I gotta stop this. And, Jack Ryder, another reporter, he becomes the Creeper, which is his superhero identity. He's kind of like the Joker, except even crazier. Like, he's so crazy that the Joker is even afraid of him. And so, because the heroes have heard about this, they obviously want to go to the Earths. They want to go to the 3 Earths that are currently being under the villains' control to fight the villains, but there are barriers in the way. They have to get through these barriers to travel to the other Earths. So, like, the different heroes are trying to break through the barriers without any success. And Superman is like, Alexander is like, Lila knows who can help us get through these barriers. She has an idea for someone to recruit. And so she heads to Blue Valley, where Wally West lives. Now, Wally West is the Kid Flash. She goes there with Jay Garrick, because she knows Jay Garrick will be able to convince Wally to come with them. They're like, Wally, we need your help. And Wally is like, I've retired, and, like, the crisis is over, so, like, no. And they're like, it's not over, Wally. You know, the villains, like, things have gotten really bad. We need your help. And so, like, they've got, like, his old ring, and they're like, this is your old Kid Flash ring, right? Will you join us? And help us? And he agrees. He agrees to go with them. Wally explains that they can use the cosmic treadmill, which allows them to, like, travel through time. If they link it to the barriers with enough speed, they'll be able to power up, like, these, like, special teleporters that they've attached to the cosmic treadmill, and it will allow them to break through the barriers, allowing all the heroes to travel to the other Earths to protect them. So that's what they do. They turn on the machine, Kid Flash and Jay Garrick run on the treadmill, and it works. They manage to break through the barriers, and all of the heroes are able to travel to the different Earths. And Lex Luthor and Brainiac are talking about the fact that, like, they're in a winning position because they're out in space at the moment while all the villains are on Earth. So they're like, oh, if the heroes and villains all kill each other, then we'll just be safe out here and we'll just take control of the Earths once they're all dead. So Lex Luthor is just like, I'm gonna, you know, if all the Earths get destroyed, I'll toast them because at least I'm still alive. And that's all I care about in the end. So the heroes and villains fight each other over the different Earths, and the villains are they have an advantage. There's a villain called Chemo, who he's like this giant chemical monster. He basically poisons the oceans of Earth 4, and there's this underwater character, like this character called Tula, who lives in Atlantis. She's like the girlfriend of Aqualad. She gets poisoned by Chemo, and she dies, sadly. But yeah, they're all fighting on the different Earths. Earth 4, Earth S, and Earth X are all being protected by the different heroes. On Earth S, they're fighting like Sinestro and Starro, and Captain Cold and Weather Wizard, like some of the rogues. And Captain Cold actually and Killer Frost work together, and they freeze the entire Earth. So the villains have the upper hand. It's not looking good. And on Earth X, the Outsiders, like Batman and the Outsiders, are fighting the Joker and his crew. So they're fighting like the Joker and Poison Ivy and stuff. And also, while Lex Luthor is talking about, you know, being okay out in space, and what his true plan is that, like, he's hoping that, like, he's just gonna survive, you know, that's his plan. Somebody's actually watching and listening, and Luthor is, like, talking to Brainiac and being like, everything's going to plan, like, our plan is pretty successful so far. And Brainiac gets attacked from behind by something, and his physical body gets completely destroyed. It, like, blows up, and Lex Luthor is like, Brainiac's going to... and he blows up. And he realizes that it was Simon. And Simon has destroyed Brainiac, and he plans on destroying Luthor too, because he heard everything Luthor was talking about, and he's like, you know what? I'm not going to let you do that. I'm going to destroy you. And Simon goes to destroy Lex Luthor, and then a blast just goes straight through Simon's brain, destroying him. And it's Brainiac. Lex Luthor is like, how are you still alive? I saw him destroy you. And Brainiac was like, I uploaded myself into my computer and then just had the computer create me a new physical body because the old one got destroyed. I'm a computer, so, like, you can't kill me that easily. And so, eventually, the tide starts to change, and the heroes start to gain an equal footing against the villains. So instead of them being in a losing position, things are now equal. Martian Manhunter and a couple of other heroes like Platinum, who is a member of the Metal Men, and Firestorm, they go to save Captain Marvel, who is being held captive by his arch nemesis Dr. Sivana and a few other villains. And they manage to free him. And yeah, Batman and the Outsiders are fighting on Earth X. And then they're just like, everything's equal. Like, there's no one winning or losing. But Lex Luthor is like, the heroes can't hold on for long, and eventually the villains are going to win. But then he's like, wait a minute, I can sense some kind of weird energy all of a sudden on the computer reading. And it's the Spectre. The Spectre has finally decided to step in, and he's like, stop! You must seize this mindless battle. He's like, the universes are all going to end. We must not fight each other. We need to join forces. It's the only chance that we have of living. So put your differences aside and stop being little babies and, like, just fight with one another, because otherwise we're all gonna die. And even Brainiac and Lex Luthor are like, okay, like, we gotta join forces. And Spectre explains that, like, the reason why the Anti-Monitor is no longer in the present is because he's in the past. He's traveled back all the way to the dawn of time. And he plans on, like, and he's taken the animated universe there with him. And so he plans on resetting everything. So he's going to change the entire universe to be like him. And in order to do that, he's gone back to the dawn of time to change time itself. So Spectre explains that the heroes and villains are going to have to split into two groups. One of the groups will go to the dawn of time to fight the Anti-Monitor, and the other half is going to go to Oa 10 billion years ago to stop Krona from discovering the dawn of time. Because if you remember, Krona, the reason why this began to, like, the reason why the Anti-Monitor got released was created in the first place is because Krona discovered discovered the dawn of time and looked into it. So they got to go and stop him from doing that so that the Anti-Monitor will never be born. But they also got to stop the Anti-Monitor from stopping them from doing that. So they got to go and fight him, keep him busy while the other group is stopping Krona. I know it sounds a bit confusing, but that's time travel. So they set up all these different time machines, and Superman 2 says goodbye to his own Lois. Alexander Luthor watches them as he does that. And while they're getting ready to go to the dawn of time and just travel back in time, another Superman shows up. Except this isn't Superman. This is Superboy from Earth Prime. Or Superboy Prime, as we will go on to know him as. Earth Prime has already been destroyed. And Earth Prime is basically the Earth where, during the 70s, there was a series of comic books called Superboy, which would basically follow Superman in his teen years. This is that same Superboy. He was the only superhero on that Earth, and his Earth has been destroyed. And so he's like, since my Earth has been destroyed, I want to help you all save your Earths. Before they go, Uncle Sam gives a little speech to them about, freedom and stuff. It's not important. And, using Gold, the member of the Metal Men, they managed to power the time machines, and all of the heroes and villains, and with the help of Kid Flash and Jay Garrick, travel through time. So a bunch of them end up in the Dawn of Time where they cross paths with the Anti-Monitor. They're in the Dawn of Time. They travel through time and they end up in the Dawn of Time. And the Anti-Monitor is there and he's like, finally, you have arrived. But it's too late. You can't defeat me. I have absorbed the antimatter entirely, and so I'm too powerful. And Pariah is like, don't bother trying to save me. Destroy him. And, you know, Anti-Monitor is just boasting about, like, how it's futile. Like, you can't destroy me. And all the heroes attack him anyway. They try beating him up, but it doesn't work. He's too powerful. And meanwhile, a group of the villains... So it's the heroes that have gone to fight Anti-Monitor, and the villains have gone to stop Krona. So the heroes are fighting Anti-Monitor. Meanwhile, the villains are on Oa, and they're attacking Krona's base to try and stop him. And they find the machine that Krona used to look into the Dawn of Time. Mirror Master and Icicle are planning to destroy the machine, and they just get destroyed by Krona. Krona comes in and is like, nope, you're not going to do that, and blows all three of them up, killing them. It's Mirror Master, Icicle, and a guy named Maldor. They all get killed by Krona. The Anti-Monitor absorbs the energy of all of the heroes, becoming even more powerful, and he's like, you can't defeat me. I am supreme. The multiverse will no longer exist. All life will be destroyed. After 10 billion years, I shall be victorious. And Pariah's like, no, somebody stop him. And they're all like, it's futile. Like, we don't have any power. We can't stop him. And then all of a sudden, the Anti-Monitor is like, what? I feel a force resisting me. Who dares? And it's the Spectre. He shows up. He's like, I dare, Cruel One, and I will stop you. He grabs the Monitor's hand and is like pushing him into where the Anti-Monitor is trying to go. And so the Spectre is like following him, and the Spectre is absorbing the powers of all the sorcerers to become powerful enough to stop the Anti-Monitor from resetting the universe. And Krona's screen comes up in the corner of the Dawn of Time, and the Anti-Monitor is like, Krona, you must look through now. Like, do it. Like, right now. You're running out of time. And Krona doesn't look through in time. The Spectre absorbs so much power that he can see all these different, like, universes that don't exist. He's like, more power. I need more strength. More. The energy inside Spectre explodes. And the dawn of creation itself is destroyed. And it says here, the universe explodes around him. So the universe explodes around Spectre. And from the dawn of creation comes death. It is the end of all that was. So everything in the universe has been destroyed. The entire universe. And so we re-enter Pitch Darkness, and a universe is born again, but only one this time. There used to be a lot of universes, and now they've all merged into one universe, so only one universe remains. And Superman of Earth 2, Superman 2, wakes up in his apartment. He's like, man, I remember, like, it was like the end of the world, and the other Superman was there, and we defeated the Anti-Monitor, and I guess, like, did that happen? Like, he's not quite sure. Like, he remembers it, but like it seems like life is back to normal. You know, he's going to what he calls the Daily Star, or, like, it's not the Daily Star, but that's what it's called on his Earth. So he thinks he's back on his Earth, and he's going to work at the Daily Star, but he's actually going to the Daily Planet, because that's what it is on Earth 1. He thinks he's the editor, and so he goes into the editor's office and is like, well, time to get back to work. And then Perry White, the editor of the Daily Planet, comes in and he's like, what are you doing in my office? He's like, your office? He's like, yeah, that's my office. And then Clark Kent comes in, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, Perry. Like, that's my Uncle Clark. You know, he's the one that I was named after. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, he thought that this was he's used to being an editor. He thought that this was his office. You know, it's just a misunderstanding." And Perry's like, "Ah, well, whatever. Get out." And so Clark and Superman 2, you know, they get into their Superman uniforms, their Superman costumes, and they fly off because they're like, "You remember the end of the world? Because I remember the end of the world." And yet it seems like you're not on Earth 2 anymore. You must be on Earth 1 at the moment. But why? Like, why are you on Earth 1? Doesn't make any sense. So they start flying around, and they're like, maybe we can find, like, the barriers in order to get you back to your Earth. So they go to where the barrier is, supposed to be, and they find out that it's not there, which is weird. They're like, why is there no barrier to get to Earth 2? And as they're making their way, like, as they're exploring what they think is Earth 1, they find Keystone City, which is another weird thing, because Keystone City is supposed to only be on Earth 2. And when they go there, they find the house of Jay Garrick, who is the Flash of Earth 2. So he's living on what they think is Earth 1 now. So it seems like, you know, all these people that originally lived on Earth 2 now live on Earth 1. And Jay is with Wally, and Wally is talking about the fact that, like, he doesn't know what's happened to the Flash. Like, the Flash has, like, disappeared and no one knows what happened to him. And they also mention the fact that Kara died, but no one knows how. So it seems like everyone's forgotten who the Anti-Monitor is, except for the people that were there at the dawn of time. And so Jay Garrick and Kid Flash are like, let's use the cosmic treadmill and let's see if we can get back to Earth 2. So they try to go back to Earth 2 and they find nothing but an empty void. There's no Earth 2 anymore. There's no other Earths. There's just one Earth. The Superman 2 feels like the void is calling to him, and he's like, I should be in there. I should just be in the void. Like, I don't belong here. You know, my world's gone. I should just float out in nothingness. That's where I deserve to be. And he almost floats out, and Superman grabs him, and he's like, no! Like, you gotta stay here. We're not letting you go. And, Wally is like, well, I guess we should call everyone and bring them all here so we can dust them, like, so we can talk about what's happening, because something's wrong, you know. Clear, like, all the Earths are gone, except this one. So that's what they do. They decide to go and grab everyone and bring them all together. And meanwhile, a group of characters, led by Rip Hunter, you got Rip Hunter, Animal Man, Adam Strange, Dolphin. They're all traveling through space, and they come across Brainiac's ship. And they enter Brainiac's ship, and they find Brainiac's body, and they think he's dead. You know, because Adam Strange is talking about how, like, Brainiac is this, like, living robot, and they come across his body, and Dolphin's just like, he doesn't look alive to me. And all the heroes gather together in Titan's Tower, where they talk about what's going on. It seems like there's lots of different heroes from different Earths have all found themselves living on this new Earth. And there's duplicates of other heroes. So we've got, like, Robin from Earth 2 is talking about, like, how, like, he knows about, like, he looked up Dick Grayson on this Earth, and that Dick Grayson still exists, but he doesn't. And Helena Wayne, who is the daughter of Bruce Wayne from Earth 2, also discovers that she doesn't exist on this Earth. But some of them do. Like, Jay Garrick exists on this Earth. Alan Scott exists as a human being on this Earth. So some characters exist, and some don't. Like, they exist, but they don't exist. Like, they exist, but people don't know who they are. If you get what that means. And the Harbinger shows up, and she explains that, like, the Earth has been reborn. All of the Earths were destroyed and reborn as one Earth. And because of that, realities have changed. And she explains that, like, this Earth just went through, like, a specific time period. One specific timeline where, like, there were cavemen and conquistadors and stuff like that. And then World War II happened. But on this Earth, during this World War II, the Justice Society were heroes back then, during what they call the Golden Age. And so they were the first heroes, and they fought alongside the freedom fighters, who were originally from Earth X. So their lives have been reset to the point where they've always lived on this Earth. They were born and they grew up on this Earth instead of being from other Earths. And Kal-El, Superman, Clark Kent, is the only survivor from Krypton. Unlike the other Earths, there's only one Superman on this Earth, one survivor of Krypton, and it's him. Same with Batman. One Bruce Wayne, who had his parents get shot in an alleyway. And then Superman 2 is just like, so no one else from my world survived? He's like, my Krypton never existed? And he's like, that means I shouldn't exist. Like, and even though that means I shouldn't exist, I do only through some fluke. Because, like, he's just like, the fact that I even exist on this Earth is just a coincidence, because I just happen to be there at the dawn of time. He's like, but my wife, like, she's gone. Like, why has this happened to me? Like, why am I stuck on this Earth without any of my family or friends? So he's, like, going crazy. He, like, surges up into the sky in distress. You know, and Superboy Prime is like, I'll go stop him. And they're like, no, he just needs some time. Like, he needs some time to just relax. You know, let it all out. And so we discover that the Spectre is in a coma at the moment after using, like, from all the power that he absorbed to stop the Anti-Monitor. It's put him into a coma. Phantom Stranger is trying to awaken the Spectre. And so that's what he's currently working on doing. And, Dr. Fate, another powerful sorcerer, senses a woman known as Amethyst being chased by a bunch of, like, people because they think that she's been summoning demons, like, these, like, demonic forces. Well, that's what they're accusing her of. They're like, you've been summoning, like, evil. And then it's revealed that the evil that they're accusing of her summoning are the shadow beings that the Anti-Monitor created. They're back. And they're attacking everyone. They're attacking the Earth again. And Amethyst tries to attack one of them. She ends up and it ends up blinding her. And so she ends up just going blind completely. And Dr. Fate is like, I've sensed, like, he looks into her eyes and he's like, I've sensed your fate. I have to take you to this place called Gemworld. And so he takes her there. And that's literally all that is. Like, it's a bit of a tangent, but that's what happens. She goes to Gemworld with Dr. Fate. And so Superman 1 goes and finds Superman 2 to calm him down. And he manages to get through to him. You know. And Superman is like, it's going to take time to forget. Like, eventually we're all going to forget what happened. And it's just going to take time. And there's not really anything we can do. And he just feels really sad for Superman 2. And, so, and Batman reveals that he went and talked to Lex Luthor about, the crisis, and it turns out Lex Luthor doesn't remember anything. And so they reveal that, like, all of the villains have forgotten about the crisis, so it is very specific people. It's like only the heroes that went to the Dawn of Time, because it was only heroes that went there, so only they remember the crisis. So none of the villains remember it. And so the antimatter energy starts, like, growing over the planet. And the planet gets completely consumed by darkness. Pariah disappears again because he senses evil. And Alexander Luthor's body gets taken over by antimatter again. And the entire planet gets enveloped by darkness. And they discover that they've been transported to the antimatter universe. And the Anti-Monitor is like, welcome to my universe. Welcome to your doom. So, the current Earth that they're living on, which is officially known as Earth Prime now, is now in the Antimatter universe. And so we go back to Dolphin and the crew who have found, like, Brainiac's ship. And that's where they discover that Brainiac is the ship itself. And that he is in its computer. Brainiac awakens again, and they ask him about, like, he awakens, and they ask him about Crisis, because they're like, you helped us during the Crisis, and Brainiac was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I don't sense that you are lying, so you must be telling the truth. And they ask him to help them, and he's like, my power is not enough to help you, but I know someone who can. Come with me. We gotta warp there. And they warp, and he, like, warps them away to wherever he's going. He's got there's a secret person that can help them. He's taking them there. And so, the heroes, or not the heroes, but just Earth in general, is now in the antimatter universe. And so, everything is awful. Antimatter energy is everywhere. Things are pretty grim. The Anti-Monitor is just like, welcome to the antimatter universe. Welcome to your doom. Your world must die. I am going to destroy you all. You, like, tried to defeat me, and because of that, I'm not wasting any chances anymore, and I'm going to kill you. He also reveals that, like, he killed the Flash. And that's when Wally is like, the Flash? He's dead? You murdered the Flash? How? Where is he? And the antimatter swirl, like, the antimatter swirl that the Anti-Monitor is in, disappears, like, and is replaced by pitch blackness, and the entire sky is covered in pitch darkness, and everyone is, like, running in fear. And, Superman, and Superman 2 are like, we gotta do something, and then the Harbinger shows up, and she's like, it's time to act. It is time to attack. It's like, are you ready? And they're like, yes, of course we are. And she's like, grab my hands. I will take you there. Like, I will take you to where we need to go. And it's revealed that Harbinger now actually has the ability to split her body without having to use that machine that she used earlier on. So one copy of her grabs Superman and Superman 2 to go to where they need to go in order to get to the Anti-Monitor. And the other copy goes to find Dr. Light to grab her, because she believes Dr. Light is the one who will be able to defeat the Anti-Monitor, or at least weaken him to defeat him. And the pitch darkness that has covered the sky splits apart, and it's revealed that it was all of the Anti-Monitor's shadow beings all formed together. So they start swarming the entire Earth, attacking and killing people. So the heroes start protecting the Earth from the shadow demons. All over the Earth, all these heroes are joining together to beat these shadow beings. And the Phantom Stranger and another character called Dr. Mist are trying to awaken the Spectre, and it's not working. And so they're like, while we try to do this, the heroes will be able to open a barrier to the Anti-Monitor and, keep him at bay. Meanwhile, the sorcerers are trying to work together to get, like, they're creating an incantation in hopes of getting rid of the shadows. So while the heroes of the Earth are fighting the shadows, the sorcerers of the Earth are creating an incantation to seal away the shadows. That's what they're doing right now. And then Harbinger and the other heroes are going to face the Anti-Monitor. And so Alexander Luthor opens up a gateway for the heroes to get to the Anti-Monitor. and Brainiac takes Dolphin and the crew to Apocalypse, where they find Darkseid. Darkseid is the one who Brainiac is deciding to recruit to help stop the Anti-Monitor. And Darkseid's like, welcome, my friends, to Apocalypse.
I am its master, Darkseid the Destroyer.
It's a pretty great moment. He's got his hands behind his back, as usual. So yeah, the heroes are defending Earth from shadows, and some of the heroes are dying. There's two characters called Hawk and Dove. Hank and Don are their real names. And Don is killed by a shadow while he's trying to save a little girl. The heroes make it through to the antimatter universe, like the antimatter world of Quad, where the Anti-Monitor should be residing. And they say that, like, Pariah will be able to point them in the direction of the Anti-Monitor, but he says, evil is everywhere. So there's no particular direction that I can point you to, because it's all around us. And Kid Flash appears. He's followed them, and he says, the Anti-Monitor killed the Flash. And because they're like, why are you here, Kid Flash? It's none of your business. And then Wally is like, well, the Anti-Monitor killed Flash, so yes, it's my business. I've come here to find out, like, at least where his body is. And he sees, like, a variant of Barry Allen appear to him, which would have, you know, it was a variant of Barry Allen when he was traveling through time during his death. And so he follows the variant, and he finds Dr. Psycho Pirate, with Barry's costume. And Psycho Pirate has gone insane. He's like, you promised you would help me, Flash. You promised you'd save me. Like, come on. I told you I was sorry for hurting you before, but save me now. Save me now. Wally punches the shit out of him, and he's like, leave that uniform alone. Get your stinking hands off it. Let it go, you maniac. Let it go. And they're like, calm down, Wally. Like, he's out of his mind. Like, you shouldn't punch him. You know, he's gone insane. And so Wally has Barry's uniform, and he's like, it's just not fair that he died alone. He was a good man, the best. Everything I owe to him, like everything I am, I owe to him. And they find Barry's ring, and they give it to Wally. He's like, oh, Barry, I'll miss you. Oh, how I will miss you. And Pariah's like, sorry to butt in, guys, but I sense the Anti-Monitor. He's right there. And the Anti-Monitor is right there, and he's like, you whimpering fool. It already is too late. From the moment you set foot on Quad, you sealed your own fates. This is the day the universe dies. And so we go to Atlantis, where the Atlanteans are protecting people against the shadows. There's this character called Laurie. She's like a mermaid. I think she's one of, like, Superman's girlfriends in, like, the 70s. She gets killed by a shadow. It's quite sad. Green Arrow of Earth 2 gets killed as well. Bunch of characters getting killed. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Huntress gets caught in, like, rubble. Like, a building falls on top of her. And, yeah, it's her, Corey, and Robin of Earth 2 are, being attacked by shadows. And Corey creates, like, a crystal sphere around them. And it just gets shattered by, like, the energy. And we never actually find out what happened to them. They disappear. Like, they never find their bodies, so it's assumed they died, but who knows? We don't know, unfortunately. Their deaths are never confirmed yet. Maybe in another comic. But yeah, the sorcerers succeed in trapping all of the shadows. Their incantation works. They trap all the shadows into, like, this giant field. And then because they've succeeded in doing that, the heroes start fighting Anti-Monitor. They start attacking him with everything they've got, but they're not doing anything. And Harbinger, like, it's not working. And Harbinger is like, he's absorbing the power of that sun, binary star. Dr. Light, what you need to do is you need to absorb the power of that star, and that'll give you enough power to hopefully kill the Anti-Monitor. Or at least weaken him enough to, like, allow us to kill him. And so she does that. She absorbs the power of the star, and it does weaken the Anti-Monitor. He's like, I feel myself weakening. Like, what's happening to my power? And so while Dr. Light is absorbing the star power, Alexander Luthor shoots the Anti-Monitor with a bunch of energy, which blasts into him, and it hurts him. And it, like, leaves him open to an attack by a character known as Negative Woman. She's like the female version of Negative Man, who was a member of the Doom Patrol. I don't really know a lot about her, but she's a character in this. And she, like, wraps around the Anti-Monitor and is able to, like, hurt him a lot. And, like, she keeps him in place while everyone attacks him all at once with all of their powers, because he's now open to their attacks. And so, and it works. They hit him with all their powers, and then he falls over and he's open. And so, Pariah is like, he's fallen, attack him now, Dr. Light. So Dr. Light shoots him with all of her star power, and the Anti-Monitor is seemingly dead. He's like, ah! Gets hit by this massive beam of light, and his body is just, like, in the ground. And so they assume he's dead. He's got a massive hole in him. And they're like, we did it. Wow, that was a lot easier than we thought it would be. And Alexander Luthor uses his power to open up the barrier between the antimatter universe and the regular universe, and it allows everyone to travel back to Earth, to Earth Prime. But unfortunately, they're like, wait a minute. As they're traveling through, they're like, wait a minute. The shadows are escaping from, like, the field that we've caught them in. And the Anti-Monitor absorbs all of his shadows, and so he's back alive. He's like, I cannot be stopped, human! And so he attacks and kills Wonder Woman. The Wonder Woman. He just shoots a beam and he fucking kills her. She's dead. Wonder Woman is dead. Pariah's like, Wonder Woman! And Superman's like, he killed Diana! Alright, I gotta kill this son of a bitch. And then, Superman prepares to go and kill Anti-Monitor, and then Superman 2's like, no you're not. I'm gonna be the one that sacrifices himself. Like, if anyone's gonna, like, sacrifice themselves, it's gonna be the guy that doesn't have a planet to live on. So he punches Superman out. And he also punches Lady Quad because she was also going to attack the Anti-Monitor. He just knocks them both out. And he tells Superboy Prime to take them to safety while he goes and deals with the Anti-Monitor. And so he goes to fight the Anti-Monitor. Superman 2 goes to fight the Anti-Monitor. And he does. He starts fighting the Anti-Monitor. But the Anti-Monitor is really powerful. So he's struggling. And Superboy Prime is like, he's not going to be able to defeat the Anti-Monitor on his own. So I got to help him. And so he chucks Superman and Lady Quad through the barrier so they can get back to their planet. And he goes back to help Superman 2. And Superman 2 throws like a couple of massive asteroids at the Anti-Monitor, which Darkseid is watching this battle happen. He's created a machine that allows him to see through Alexander Luthor's eyes, because Alexander Luthor is watching this entire battle, and Darkseid is watching it through his eyes. And the Anti-Monitor is, like, kind of getting the upper hand, but Superman 2 and Superboy Prime are, they're doing pretty well, and they think they beat, like, they seem to beat the Anti-Monitor, but then it's revealed that he's still not dead. He gets back up again, and he's like, I will kill you, and he attacks both of them. He's like, die, 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 and is, like, burning their bodies, and then that's when Darkseid is like, alright, time to unleash my weapon. He shoots a massive beam through Alexander Luthor's eyes, and blasts the Anti-Monitor into a sun, obliterating him. He literally is just like, time to activate my weapon. And he, like, pushes a button, and the beams from Darkseid's weapon go straight through Alexander Luthor's eyes and obliterate the Anti-Monitor. And they're like, wow, you did it, Darkseid. You helped us. You saved us. Darkseid is like, yeah, I teamed up with you this one time, but the next time we cross paths, it will be as enemies. And then it turns out that the Anti-Monitor isn't dead, and he's just a giant flaming head, and he comes flying out of the star, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you! And then Superman 2 is just like, for God's sakes, won't you just fucking die? And he punches the Anti-Monitor in the head, and blows the Anti-Monitor's head up. And completely obliterates him, and he's like, okay, now he's dead. He's finally dead. But after the destruction of the Anti-Monitor, because the Anti-Monitor, he, like, punches his head, and the Anti-Monitor's head goes into the star, and then causes the star to explode, and because of that, a shockwave of energy starts dispersing throughout the antimatter universe, destroying the entirety of the antimatter universe. They're like, everything will be disintegrated. And Alexander Luthor and like Superman 2 is like, I'm okay with being disintegrated because maybe I'll end up with my wife in heaven. And then Alexander Luthor is like, there's another way. There's another answer. I can take you to your wife. And it turns out that Alexander Luthor is able to create like a gateway to this place that he is referring to as like a paradise or like everlasting peace. And Lois Lane comes out of the gateway and is like, come with me, Clark. And so Superman 2 decides to go to Lois to this paradise. And Superboy Prime is like, I've got no home. Or Superboy Prime is like, I've got no home. I want to come. And so he goes with them. And they all go into the gateway. And Alexander Luthor transports them to everlasting peace. We don't get to see it, but like that's what we're told, is that they're going to some sort of heaven. Somewhere where they can live happily ever after. And then it's revealed that Wonder Woman didn't actually die, and that her body was just sent backwards through time, and she went from like a woman to a girl to an infant to how she was created. So her entire origin has been retconned. So now she was like born from clay, instead of being born as just a regular baby, which is her new origin. And Wonder Woman 2 from Earth 2, like Wonder Woman 2, is taken to Olympus to live with the gods in Olympus, happily ever after. She's called there by Apollo, and that's where she lives from now on. And then it's revealed that like Dick Grayson of Earth 2 and Helena Wayne, like Huntress, like their bodies were never found. Everyone's kind of mourning all the people that died during the crisis. Lila Michaels is actually documenting everything on a little device. She's exploring the world, kind of documenting the changes to the planet, like to Earth. And we find Wally, and he's like, What are the results, Jay? And Jay Garrick is like, well, we've discovered that like the when the Anti-Monitor struck you, your body chemistry was changed, and that heart disease that you had, that you were going to die from, well, you don't have it anymore, which means you can be a superhero again. And Wally is like, yeah, but I'm not going to be Kid Flash anymore. Barry died saving us. I want the Flash. His Flash, remembered. I began my super speed career wearing his costume. I only changed to establish my own identity. I don't need that anymore. Jay, I am no longer Kid Flash. From this day forth, the Flash lives again. And so Wally West has become the new Flash. So like Lila Michaels is documenting her discoveries of this new version of Earth. And Pariah and Lady Quiet appear, and they're like, come Lila, let's go explore the planet and see what else has changed. And so they decide to go on their own little journey. She talks about how the Monitor once told her that life must never stand still. It must constantly move ahead. And she says, he should never forget the past. We should never forget the past, but we should always look to the future, because that's where we're going to spend the rest of our lives. I don't know about you guys, but I can't wait to see what tomorrow will bring. And there's like a little picture of Monitor in the sky, and we get to remember him. It's quite sad. And so that's the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Or so we thought. There is an epilogue. We go to a psychiatry ward, and we discover that Psycho Pirate is he's insane. He's gone insane, obviously. He's in his own ward. And we discover that he's the only one. He's the only person now that still remembers the crisis. And he's blabbering on about, like, infinite Earths and everything was destroyed. And they all just think he's cuckoo. And so, like, yeah, he's it's really cool. I really like this kind of ending where it's revealed that he is the only person that remembers everything. And because of that, he's treated as an insane person. But yeah, that's where we end off. So, that's it. That was Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's, the best... I explained it the best way I could. I hope I did a good job of explaining it. It's a great story. It's definitely quite messy. A bit slow at the start, you know? But it created... like, it changed the face of DC forever. You know, it created the status quo that they've been living by most of the time, you know? Like, it tends to always go back to, like, what this book had established. No matter how much changes, they always kind of go back to this status quo. You know? And I highly recommend checking it out for yourself if you feel like reading it. You can get copies of it on Amazon. You know, they got like a deluxe edition that you can get, which is the whole thing. They make like hardcovers and paperbacks. Definitely recommend checking it out if you want to read comic books. Just know that like it's very wordy, and there's going to be a lot of characters in it that you probably will have no idea who they are. But you know, it's also a way to discover these new characters. You know, even though there's like 100 characters in this book who I barely knew anything about, really, you know, I still enjoyed reading about them, and I still enjoyed getting to see them, you know, hang out with other heroes and fight side by side, and there's like little exchangements between different characters, which is fun. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode of Marvel and DC Retrospective, which is the decided to change the name of this podcast, so that's going to be the new name. And yeah, next episode we are going to be starting on volume 2 of The Flash. Yeah, volume 2, which is Wally West. So we're going to be starting with Flash issues 1 through 10, the new era of Flash. So that's going to be next Sunday. That episode will be released. I'm really looking forward to starting that and starting the recording. Start recording that. And just start reading those stories. So I hope you join next time. And yeah. See you guys next time. Bye.